When patients come here, they will feel safe from the minute they enter the hospital. As you drive into the premises, you're greeted by somebody who will show you the best place to park, and in the entrance somebody else will take your temperature, give you some protective masks, and that sense, carries through to all the clinical areas, wards and theatre environments where social distancing is rigidly applied. And so I think the message to our patients should be that if you need to come to hospital, then we will do everything in our power to make that a safe visit.
The most important thing is making sure that patients and staff are safe. We've staggered our appointment times, so we only have certain numbers of patients in the department at the same time. We have rearranged our waiting areas so we can separate patients. We are asking them to arrive on time, not to bring anybody with them. They can go straight in for their scans and with minimum fuss.
Patients clearly are going to have very definite anxieties about COVID and having surgery or having treatments at a time that COVID's still around in our society. But to be able to show them that we've got pathways that have kept our patients safe, that's going to be very, very important as we move forward.
Clearly it's been challenging times, but out of challenges comes innovation. We looked at the infrastructure of our hospital so that we could separate patients in respect of whether they're an inpatient or an outpatient. Simple things, so video and teleconferencing for our outpatients. And I think that innovation is here to stay, and we've been absolutely so proud of the team and what they've done to be able to provide the patient care that we have done.
We have impeccable infection prevention standards, and those standards we have fully embedded into all of our workforce. So this hospital has gone through a significant transformation There are hand gel stations everywhere you turn in the hospital, and people are actively encouraged to use them, installing a huge number of additional hand wash basins, replacing old, tired, worn hand wash basins. So we are absolutely at the top of our game in terms of infection prevention.
Ultimately, you want what's best for the patient, and for some patients that will be perfectly fine to do via a telephone or virtually, but for some patients, for their best outcome, you will need to see them face to face and do some hands-on treatment with them. But then we're in our full masks, visors, gloves, aprons, and there's a very set system of where the patients go and their entrances and exits.
I think we all felt that we were doing something useful and worthwhile. I think everyone's risen to the challenge amazingly, and I'm really, really proud to work here.
As we come out and we start to de-escalate, exactly what we want to do is be able to bring our patients back to the hospital, those who have been waiting, those that are apprehensive, because clearly the requirement for them to have their operation hasn't gone away. So I would say to people, we have a safe environment for us to be able to deliver that quality care that they need.
Welcome to John Pye Auctions, the nation's favourite online auction house. In our online auctions, you can get everything you need, whether it's fashion, furniture, tech or white goods, all at a price you decide. Auction lots include a mix of ex-display, clearance, end-of-line, retail returns, insolvency stock and failed deliveries, plus fully functional lots covered by a John Pye warranty. Bidding online is quick and easy, so visit johnpye.co.uk to place your bids today.
Game on.
Go easy on me. Game day 9, and it is Outlaws versus Lightning. Two huge teams, but with the same one big ambition. Now, both teams played last night. For the Lightning, well, they got a loss against the Steelbacks. The Outlaws picked up that tie against local rivals Derbyshire Falcons. And both teams met last Sunday up at Emirates Old Trafford, and you'll never guess what? Well, that was a tie as well. What do we have in store for us this evening? Well, there's only one way to find out. It's Outlaws versus Lightning, and it's game day. A very good afternoon and welcome to Trent Bridge Live. Yes, it's Vitality Blast action once again as we welcome the Lancashire Lightning here to Trent Bridge. Now, if you are a familiar face to T20 here at Trent Bridge, then there is one player that you will no doubt have heard of, and that player is Harry Gurney. Now, unfortunately, he is now retired, but luckily he is here today, and we caught up with him earlier with Kirsty.
With you today, 'cause it's been a little bit of a special day. We're just going to rewind a little bit as to why today was a special day. So back in May, your retirement was announced due to injury effectively. So tell us, just to remind everybody, what happened and how did then the retirement come about?
So after COVID hit, obviously I had a bit of an extended period on the sidelines, as everyone did. When I came back to bowling in the middle of last summer, the shoulder just didn't want to play ball, quite literally. So ended up under the knife in September, and then went through a winter of rehab with Pipey, and it just got to the point where I felt I kept getting up to about 70 miles an hour and then breaking down again.
Yeah.
I'm 34. I'm really proud of everything I've achieved. Had I been a 22-year-old, with my career in front of me, desperate to carry on, who knows what would have happened. But it felt like, for me, at the stage of my career, with a couple of interests outside the game as well, it felt like the right time.
So you've just kind of touched on the fact that last season, obviously, you weren't around because you were in recovery mode at that point, effectively. So you've not been in the dressing room for a while. What are you missing?
Luke Fletcher, really.
Really?
Yeah.
I expected that to be the answer to what are you not missing?
Yeah, no, I mean all of them. It's that's probably, if to be brutally honest, the thing that I will miss is the changing room, the bus, hotel bars. I'm not going to miss too much of this, to be honest. Just getting slogged every week, and the rehab and the winter training. But I will miss the boys, and Mull and Fletch. I played most of my career with them, and we had a lot of fun.
Good. So you mentioned not missing the middle so much, but what kind of spectator are you?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, won't it?
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of games over the last few years when I've been injured or whatever, and it's always really strange. So to be a retired player watching might be even stranger. But I think, as I say, when the boundaries start flowing, I'll just be glad I'm sat in the stand rather than the one out there bowling the cut shots.
So thinking back across your career here at Notts, is there anything in particular you felt you didn't achieve?
Yeah, I never won a county championship. I'd have liked to have done that. We got promoted in Division 2 once, and I think maybe we finished third one year. So I'd have liked to have won a county championship. But other than that, I'm really proud of everything that we as a team managed to achieve over the last few years, and hopefully we've started a bit of a legacy that these guys can carry on.
So just to kind of help us see a little bit inside that dressing room, obviously you've been one of the guys here for such a long time now. What makes this group of people and this place such a special place?
Well, I mean the cricket ground itself has an aura. There's a video on the screen now, with showing the ground. It's a really, really special place. I remember driving in here for the first time in end of 2011 when I'd signed and thinking, wow, God, I can't believe this is now my home ground, coming from, with all due respect, Grace Road. And so to have played for the rest of my career here, I'm really proud of. And yeah, it's a test ground. It's a very special ground. The Radcliffe Road really sort of hangs over the top of the cricket ground when you're taking wickets, and the last day of a championship game or second innings of a one-day game, the crowd really gets behind you from up there. Very fond memories. Very proud to have played here so many times.
So what does the future hold for Harry Gurney?
I think a bit of business to start with. I'm gonna get stuck into my pub company. I've got a pub called the Tap and Running up at Broughton, and it's we really worked really hard on that product over the last 18 months while we were closed behind the scenes, and we've launched, and business is going really well. So we think we've found a decent product there, which I'd like to try and expand over the next few years if I can find the locations.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us, Harry. We wish you the best of luck with everything you do, and you will be missed, but we'll see you in the stands.
Pleasure. Thanks, Kirsty.
A big thank you to Harry Gurney there. It's really great to see him. He sat just to my left down there, and obviously we hope that it's a Notts win and he enjoys his day. Now, this is a big game. Notts are top of the group stage so far, but Lancashire, as I said earlier, a big club with big ambition, and they are just 3 points behind. So it's a crucial 2 points up for grabs. Let's now tell you all about the toss and the team. Now, Lancashire won that toss and they have chosen to bowl. So Alex Clark, Joe Clark and Alex Hales will make their way out of the pavilion very shortly. But let's introduce the rest of the 11 for your Notts Outlaws today. As I mentioned just there, it is Joe Clark and Alex Hales which will be opening the batting for the Notts Outlaws. In at number 3, Sol Budinger. Number 4, you've got Ben Duckett. Then there comes the real middle order. You've got Tom Moores, you've got Samit Patel, you've got Stephen Mullaney, the captain. All in that middle order that can all be very destructive with the bat. Now, one thing to just warn you as I go through this team is that this can change at any point, and that is all down to the game situation. So as I mentioned there, Tom Moores, Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney. As we're now then coming to the all-rounders and the bowlers, you have Luke Fletcher, you have Matt Carter, you have Kelvin Harrison, and finally making up your 11 is Jake Ball. That is your Notts Outlaws 11. The last time these two teams played was last Sunday, and that was a tie. Notts Outlaws have had 3 ties so far. We hope there isn't one today. But we are literally about 2 to 3 minutes away from gameplay here. Settles yourself in. This is set to be a cracker here at Trent Bridge. I'll see you at the halfway stage. Just a reminder, Lancashire won the toss and they have chosen to bowl. 20 overs of batting coming up from your Notts Outlaws. What will the score be? Remember, it's about that power play. Very crucial. What can Notts get? Well, I'll now hand you over to the match coverage team as we await the players, and the voice that you will hear is Dave Bracegirdle.
And a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Trent Bridge, and Notts Outlaws against Lancashire Lightning. We will be up and running with you in just a second. Those of you following the live stream, many thanks to Kirsty and Aaron for the pre-game show. And of course, many of you, of course, will have followed us since 11 o'clock this morning when we brought you coverage of the first match in the Charlotte Edwards Cup between Lightning and South East Stars. The gents now take centre stage, and if you're just joining us, I can tell you that Notts will be batting first in this one, a clash between two sides in the top 5 of the North Group, tightly congested as ever, and of course a mouth-watering match ahead after what happened at Old Trafford last Sunday. A tie between these two sides. Of course it's a tie. Notts Outlaws were playing last night. You will know that they tied against Derbyshire Falcons, a match that probably they had no right to get a point from, as was the case, I guess, you believe, at Old Trafford last Saturday. Scott Reed is alongside me. Welcome to Trent Bridge.
Thank you.
Your reflections on last week. It was an extraordinary afternoon of cricket.
It was. I'm not quite sure how they managed, Lancashire that is, to throw it away, because they were what, 118 on the board for the first wicket, 13 overs in, chasing 170 to win. Shouldn't really, well, you should be winning, shouldn't you, more times than not from that position. But it made for an exciting finish.
And since then, how have Lancashire gone?
Yeah, well, last night, we've only come up the M1. We're in Northamptonshire last night, and they lost against the Steelbacks by 7 wickets. They didn't play very well last night. So since that tie, they've only played once, which was last night, and it was a pretty emphatic defeat for them. Oh, blimey.
It's firework night this June afternoon in Nottingham. Scott will tell you more on the Lancashire side in just a moment. Crikey! Throw the guy on top. Notts are unchanged. Of course, they played Derbyshire, as I say, last evening. Since that match at Old Trafford, it was last Sunday, wasn't it? Not last Saturday, last Sunday. Notts have absolutely battered Worcestershire here in about half the time it normally takes to finish a match on Tuesday night, and then last night the point at Derby, which takes them back to the top of the North Group. It's so tightly congested. Lancashire are 5th, but right now Warwickshire and Durham, or Birmingham and Durham, are meeting at Edgbaston, so it's all going to be taking shape, I guess, by the end of the weekend. Yorkshire play this evening, so some places to gain, some places to lose, of course, for the sides that miss out. Lancashire have won the toss and they have opted to bowl first, and it's going to be a fella that didn't play at Old Trafford last week, Saqib Mahmood, to open the bowling.
Yeah, he came back into the team last night, actually, his first T20 game of the season last night at One Tees Road. Bowled as you'd expect him to bowl, pretty quickly at times, but he's got all the skills as these young bowlers have, haven't they? All the different variations, but good to see him back.
Very much so. That's a particularly devastating Yorker on his day. Going to get underway with Mahmood bowling. Oh, Yorker, well, he's bowled a low fall toss there, and Joe Clark has missed out. We're, I believe, into the 3 o'clock news on BBC Radio Nottingham, Scott, so I'll just wait until my cue to speak to the good folk there, which I'm sure will be in a minute or two. Clark and Hales opening the batting as usual. Hales got a first baller last night, first ball of the second over. He lost his off peg to Conor McCurr. Of course, he took Stephen Croft, wasn't it, for 5 boundaries in a row at Old Trafford. Here's Mahmood. Clark has got this away through the offside for 4. Stunning power from Clark. Forces it away square of the wicket on the offside. And a huge roar. We're just getting used to crowds being back inside the ground again, aren't we?
Yeah, and it's brilliant, isn't it, to hear it. Good numbers inside Trent Bridge today. You'd expect pre-COVID times this place will be absolutely bouncing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 4,000 or so today. It was great atmosphere at Old Trafford last weekend. It really was, and it's a great contest to boot. Crowd really got involved. Next ball in to Clark, clips it through mid-wicket. Stephen Croft's after it. Ball winning the chase at the moment, but Croft puts a slide in and they get a couple of runs. I'll tell you that our 2 umpires are Neil Bainton, who's at square leg, and the standing umpire at this end is Billy Taylor, who's on double time today. He stood in the women's match earlier on. Our match referee Dean Costa, the former Glamorgan slow left arm spinner. Our scorers Chris Rimmer for Lancashire, Roger Marshall for Notts, and Ian Smith, as ever, we give him a mention. Does such a great job working the big screens here at Trent Bridge. Here's Mahmood into Clark, 6 runs on the board. First ball is hit down the ground, and it's going to be taken at mid-off by Luke Wood, back pedalling, and Clark goes. An early breakthrough for Lancashire in the first over. Joe Clark out for 6.
I mean, it looks like a relatively routine catch, and I guess it is from a cricketing point of view, but there's still a bit of pressure on it, isn't it? 'Cause it's gone high, and then you factor in it's Joe Clark, who's had just a wonderful T20 campaign so far for Notts. There's a bit of pressure on that for Luke Wood, not to fumble against his former side as well. So a nice, safe pair of hands.
And we've just started. We're in the first over. Notts have lost a wicket, I have to tell you. Joe Clark, he's dipped in and out of form since beginning the campaign with a splendid century against Northampton. He's gone for just 6 runs in the first over here. 4th ball of the match being bowled by Saqib Mahmood. Notts are unchanged after that thrilling tie last night against Derbyshire. Of course, these two sides only met last Sunday in Manchester, and that was also a tie. Should be very little between them. Notts have lost the toss. They're batting, and in the first over, 6 for 1. New man is Sol Budinger, but they did cross while the ball was in the air. So Hales to face his first ball, driven crisply up to Wood at mid-off, and there's no run from that one. 6 for 1. I'm sure home supporters will be fairly familiar with the way Notts have gone in this campaign. Clark and Hales at the top, Budinger, Duckett, Moores, Patel and Mullaney, and then down towards the bottom, Luke Fletcher, Matt Carter, Calvin Harrison and Jake Ball, but with plenty of overs left. Calvin Harrison last night came in at number 8 and proceeded to get a first baller, so that didn't work. Here's Mahmood into Hales. We'll clip this off his thigh away towards the deep backward square. We'll get a single, we'll keep strike, end of the over, and very well done Saqib Mahmood, who has taken a wicket in his first over. 1 for 7. The Outlaws batting a 7 for 1.
Lancashire Lightning also unchanged as well from the game last night. Quick turnaround, isn't it, for both sets of players to get themselves ready for this. I guess the fact it's been pushed back to a 3 o'clock start helps, gives a little bit extra preparation time. But yeah, Lancashire going with the same team that played last night: so Keaton Jennings and Finn Allen, Alex Davis, Dane Villas, Rob Jones, Stephen Croft, Luke Wood, Danny Lamb, Tom Hartley, Matt Parkinson and Saqib Mahmood, the Lancashire team. It'll be Luke Wood to open up from the pavilion end for Lancashire Lightning, who probably got into their hotel in Nottingham well after midnight by the time they made the journey up from Northants. And of course the Northants players were leaving Wanties Road last night at the same time on the team coach. They were going to Yorkshire for their game this evening. The double headers, kind of Friday night, Saturday afternoon, or a quick turnaround for players. Here comes Wood with Hales on strike. Just comes back into Hales, that actually, and does well to get bat on ball and just squirts it up to mid-on, and there's no run. 7 for 1. So Hales on 1, and Budinger yet to face a delivery, and Wood against his former side. He's had a decent T20 campaign so far. 1 for 21 from his 4 overs last night.
Yeah, I'll be keen to do well here on his return to Trent Bridge. It didn't work out too well for him, if I remember rightly, in the championship match last year. His first time back here, I think he picked up an injury on the first day, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah.
Didn't bowl anymore.
Yeah, Wood left arm over the wicket, bowling to Hales, who's skipping down the pitch and playing and missing, and then spinning round and getting back into his crease and doing his best to ignore the fact that he wasn't too far away from the edge of his bat.
Picked up a couple of wickets at Old Trafford last weekend, Luke Wood, Sol Budinger and Stephen Mullaney, figures of 2 for 36.
Blimey, yeah. Last week, it feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Actually? It's that tie. It's all about the ties, isn't it, for Notts?
Very much so.
Crikey. Wood comes steaming back in again. A step to the leg side, a clip off the pads, and that's down towards the boundary for 4 runs for Alex Hales, the fine leg fielder inside the ring. Matt Parkinson A little glance off the pads down towards his left-hand side, and it rattles its way towards the rope, and 4 runs for Alex Hales.
Yeah, he's been in and out, Alex Hales, with his form. That's obviously the way he plays. 31 and 0, 14 and 96 not out, 0, 33 against Lancashire, 60 not out, and then 0 again last night. So he's had 3 ducks in the campaign already, Alex Hales. But if he gets a start, he'll score his runs quickly, I'll guarantee that.
Takes some stopping, doesn't he, when he gets going? Terrific fun to watch. Guess that can be the nature of T20, can't it? You can have a few failures along the way. It's going to happen. He's trying to work this off his hip. It'll bounce just in front of Parkinson at short fine leg, and he gets through for... Well, it is a run. I wonder if he kind of gloved it, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah.
Looped it towards short fine leg. Moves to 6. Outlaws move on to 12 for 1.
Nice ovation for Harry Gurney around about half an hour ago. There was an interview on the live stream before the start of play, but if you missed it, Harry Gurney, of course, who's now retired from all forms of cricket, that shoulder injury just prevented him from returning to the game, and came back and said goodbye to his home fans, and was given a nice presentation out there on the pitch half an hour or so ago.
Yeah, it's a good touch, that. Wood into Buddinger's up onto his toes, the slip in place, and defending into the offside, no run.
Sol Budinger, those of you that just sort of catching up with what happened last night, who was very central to affairs last night, and why the game did end up as a tie. Last ball of the match, Derbyshire needed 4 to tie, 5 obviously a 6 to win it, and Matt Critchley drove down the ground, and Sol Budinger just running round the boundary, dived full length, got his hands to it. Had he held it or kept it inside the boundary rope, Notts would have won obviously, but it just ran out of his hands and over the ropes for 4.
Wood 2, Budinger. It's a short ball banged in and ignored by Sol Budinger, taken by Dane Villas. End of Wood's first over. It's gone for 5. 2 overs into the T20 fixture here at Trent Bridge, and Notts 12 for 1.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, you'd imagine. 3 ties out of 8 matches this year, and of course you go back to the quarter-final last year, it means Notts have tied 4 of their last 11 T20 matches, and before that you have to go back 125 games to 2010, the last time they tied one. So
blimey, that is some run,
there's no logic to it at all.
Yeah, it's a remarkable run, that. 4 of the last 11 have been tied.
Yeah, and 11 years before then. Here's a fella who every time I see him impresses me more and more. Danny Lamb. He's one of the from afar, I guess he's an unsung hero, but I guess within the camp and within the Lancashire supporter network, he's very much a little bit of a Luke Fletcher, a local legend.
Yeah,
rapidly turning into one.
I think you're right. I think he's very handy with bat and with ball.
Danny Lamb it is, bowling to Alex Hales. He'll enhance that reputation if he can break this partnership early on. Hales works his first ball away on the leg side. The throw comes in. Dane Villas tries to take it over his head and just tips it onto the head of Sol Budinger, and a little word between the two of them, wounding our left-hander there.
He's picked up 6 wickets this season so far in the Blast. Daniel Lamb going at just a fraction over 8, an 8 and over. Chipped in with some runs as well.
It's one of the Preston contingent, isn't he? Bowls now, and Buddinger's cut this away for 4. Nice looking shot. Does tend to do things at 100 mile an hour, Sol Budinger, and we haven't yet seen him go on, but he's had 3 innings and he's getting higher in terms of his score. He's had an 8, a 13 and then a 21 last night. Of course there was the Worcestershire game where he was padded up at number 3 throughout the innings, but Clark and Hales did the job themselves. We're going to have to sanitise the ball now because it's been thrown back by a spectator, so a little bit of a hold up here. 17 for 1. Yeah, 25 years of age, Lamb, from Preston, which I'm sure are the same stats as I read out last night for Matt Critchley. Didn't he start with Lancashire as the next one's pulled onto the leg side by Budinger? They'll take a single.
He did, yeah.
18 for 1.
Yeah, he was a Lancashire
academy
player. Yeah, I think he played a first team match for Lancashire. There's quite a few from Preston, you're quite right, in the Lancashire team.
Hales back on strike. He has 7 from 7. Budinger 5 from 4. The man out, Joe Clark, if he's just joining us, fell in the first over for 6. Here's Hales opening his shoulders, and will he be caught? No, he's just lifted it over mid-on, and it runs away for 4 runs. Keaton Jennings, the fielder, down there leaping. It's not as if we can use the excuse if there was a taller man on the field he might have got there, because there's not many taller than Keaton Jennings around.
That was a bit agony, that, wasn't it, for Lamb? And I suspect for Hales, like, for a minute he's thinking, this might be me done, because it looked like Jennings was going to take it one-handed, and in the end it just went just a bit too far over his right hand.
I wonder how many times Keaton Jennings has replayed the last ball of the match at Old Trafford last week. Here's Lamb in again to Hales, moves across his crease and goes for the big mo towards mid-wicket and misses it, and it goes through to the keeper. In case you missed it, it was a case of 1 will tie, 2 will win. Jennings 87 not out. It's been the definite mainstay, and he drove the ball from Luke Fletcher into the offside and hit it straight to Stephen Mullaney, a couple of yards either side, and Lancashire would win. Mullaney with a little bit of a juggle, needed 2 attempts, but then speared it back in, and Jennings was nowhere near coming back for a second. Here's Lamb in again to Hales, and this time a controlled push into the offside. He'd played it softly, and they go through for a single. It means Hales will keep strike at the end of the 3rd over here on BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Lancashire, BBC Radio Manchester. 23 for 1 Notts Outlaws, invited to bat first by Dane Vilas.
It was a game, when we touched on this at the start there, the Lancashire Lightning would have looked last Sunday at Old Trafford and thought with 120 on the board for the first wicket, then it should really be a victory from that stage. And actually going into the final over, they did well not to lose it. Lancashire they needed 12 off the last over to win, and they managed to tie, but it was a bonkers game of T20 cricket. I mean, even with the inconsistencies, I mean, Notts are top at the minute, Lancashire Lightning are 5th. They've won 3, they've lost 3, which is kind of pretty definition of inconsistency, isn't it, with a 1 tie and a game called off. But even with that inconsistency, it's still pretty tight, isn't it?
It is, very much so.
Difficult to kind of nail. You reckon we'll finish in the top 4, or at least pick out the 4 teams?
It's sort of looking like it'll be 4 from 5 at the minute, with all due respect to those down towards the bottom.
There's Mahmood back into the attack, replacing Wood. Just shovelled away into the onside by Alex Hales, just in front of square. 3 red Lancashire shirts goes scampering after it, picked up by Alex Davis, and Alex Hales gets 1. He moves to 13.
Do you not think so? I think it's going to be difficult for Northants, Derbyshire, Leicestershire, and probably Worcestershire. So that leaves the other 5 scrapping out for the 4 places.
Yeah, Lancashire Lightning have got 8 points. Worcestershire Rapids have also got 8 points. I think you can rule out the Leicestershire and Northants at 5 and 6 points at the bottom, but yeah, I think I'm looking at probably
Derbyshire have played 10 games now.
They have, yeah, which is tough for them at this point. Pulled away by Budinger, and for 4 runs. Dive coming in from Finn Allen on that square leg boundary, but even with the dive, the ball beat him and into the stand. 4 for Budinger.
It was tense there for about 2 or 3 seconds. You had no idea who was going to win that race. It was a genuine race between the ball and Finn Allen. He probably had to sprint 20 yards, and the ball was racing towards the rope. Just didn't quite get there, but it was even money for a while, wasn't it?
28 for 1. Budinger moves to 9. Mahmood comes back in and bowls to him. Eased off his hip, just balloons up into the onside actually. Just looping out towards mid-wicket. Comes Daniel Lamb to field. Budinger gets a single, so he's into double figures. He moves to 10. 29 for 1. And we're in the 4th over of the Notts Outlaws innings. Alex Hales back on strike. The Lancashire Lightning have got themselves a deep mid-wicket and a deep backward square leg. The 2 fielders on the rope are Stephen Croft and Alex Davis. There's a mid-on, mid-off. Extra cover, backward point, short third, short fine. And Hales, little push up to mid-off, but for no run, picked up by Luke Wood. Hales remains on 13. The Outlaws are 29 for 1. 2 balls left of the 4th. Mahmood's 2nd over. He's picked up the only wicket of the game so far. Yet to see Lancashire Lightning turn to spin in the power play, but it might yet happen. Bit of whip this time, and too far wide actually, as Hales almost loses his balance trying to cut the ball. And player Neil Bainton spins round to signal a wide. Score moves on to 30 for 1.
Just a little stat for you. When Notts won the county championship last, 2010, at Old Trafford, Neil Bainton was one of the umpires there. That match that was a combination of a lot of time lost to rain, a little bit of time lost to the sun, glinting off the glass, forcing them from the field.
Mahmood to Hale, step to the leg side, carves the ball over the offside, one bounce to deep backward point for 4 runs, up and over the infield, and Hales moves up to 17 not out. Flash of the bat from tall Alex Hales, good looking shot for 4. 34 for 1.
And again, the ball has been thrown back by a spectator, so it's now been kicked around the ground by the Lancashire players. Look, you're always told to look after the ball. If players kicked the red ball in the county championship in normal times, let's say, they'd get a ticking off. They'd perhaps get some disciplinary points. Kicking the ball like that, scuffing it.
Oh, it just doesn't look right, does it?
No.
But, needs must. Final ball of the over. Mahmood second, 34 for 1. Hales on 17. Full of length and off stump. Squirts it into the offside. Little hesitation. Could be run out. There is a run out. Buddinger's run out. There was just a wee bit of hesitation. And by the time that they made their mind up, or at least Buddinger was setting off to get through, it was too late. And he's been run out. And the Outlaws lose their second wicket at the end of the 4th over, 34 for 2.
It was very much a shall we, shan't we, wasn't it? And the hesitation was, in the end, very costly for Sol Buddinger. Alex Hales desperately sorry for his part in it. You could tell there the frustration showed from Alex. Swish of the bat and an apologetic nod and a word towards Sol Buddinger. Gone for 10, Finn Allen the fielder, whipping the ball in to Dane Vilas. Here comes Ben Duckett. Like Hales, he also failed to get on the score sheet last night, out for naught. Man who guided Notts to victory at Edgbaston last October. 34 for 2. Clark gone for 6, Buddinger for 10. Was the end of the over. 11 from it, and the wicket. It's going to be Luke Wood to bowl his second over, this time from our end of the ground, the Radcliffe Road end. Those of you watching the live stream, nice view of the ground. You can see people right up on the top tier here of the Radcliffe Road stand. Decent spread of spectators right the way around. Just the seats in front of the pavilion not being used. Here's Luke Wood in then to Hales. Cut this away for 4. Nicely played, deliberately played. Ran it down to third man, but very deliberate shot. Hales on to 21. Luke Wood just offering enough width there for Alex Hales to cut him away for 4. 38 for 2. Wood in again, Hales to backward point, and again a slightly risky one, but Duckett was full of intent, committed to the run, set off quickly, called Alex Hales through and even had the shy, hit the stumps, may well have been home. 39 for 2. Notts busy, but they've lost 2 important wickets here in the power play. Joe Clark and Sol Buddinger. BBC Radio Nottingham joining up with Scott Reed from BBC Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire. Glad to have you as company this sunny Saturday afternoon here at Trent Bridge. The ground bathed in sunshine at the moment as Wood comes in to the left-handed Duckett, plays away from his body, forces it into the offside, and Finn Allen, who's been a busy boy in the field, makes a decent stop. 39 for 2 it remains. One other game going on in the Blast at the moment, and Durham are 94 for 2 in the 13th over at Edgbaston. Sides in 3rd and 4th place in the group. Cameron Bancroft currently 44 not out for Durham. Ben Stokes was out for 35, dismissed by his old nemesis Brathwaite. Duckett can't get this away. No opportunity for a run there as Rob Jones quickly comes in from the leg side. And of course there's another T20 game going on. T20 International, England playing Sri Lanka, and England are romping away with it at the moment. 102 on the board, and openers Bairstow and Milan are still there. That's at the Aegeus Bowl. So a good start by England in that one. Here is Luke Wood in again. Duckett will pull this away behind square. I think they'll only get one on this occasion. They settle for the single. 40 for 2. There's one ball left in the over. One other game in the Blast today, also in the North Group, Yorkshire versus Northants, but that's an evening contest under the lights at Headingley.
That was a double header too, wasn't it? I think there's an afternoon game taking place in the Charlotte Edwards T20
right.
Cup.
Yep. 40 for 2. Hales on strike. Last ball of the 5th over. He's got 22. Wood bowls to him, and again an ambitious looking drive attempted by Hales. Misses it. 6 from that Luke Wood over. 40 for 2 is the score. Wood 2 overs, none for 11. Notts going along at 8 and over.
Yeah, it's a decent power play this, isn't it? We'll be losing a 3rd wicket. I don't think from a Notts point of view, so they can get through this over, just 2 down, push it up towards 50 for 2, something like that. Maybe a little bit more than that, perhaps. I think that will be quite a solid-looking power play for the Notts Outlaws.
Hales is the key. Generally, I would imagine over the years, if he's batted 16 or 17 overs, Notts have won games because he scores his runs so quickly. Obviously, the problem then comes when they lose 2 or 3 other wickets alongside him at the top of the order, and then he goes. Then the problems are well, they're laid bare. It's left open then for the middle order. Didn't work last night.
There's Danny Lamb, right arm around the wicket bowling. Eased away through the onside by Ben Duckett for a single. He moves to 2, 41 for 2. That's the problem. Well, it's not the problem, is it? But that's one of the risks in T20 cricket. You want to go hard in the power play, but it does come with an element of risk. Of course, if you lose wickets, then puts a bit of pressure on those coming in later on.
I think he felt he was also very involved in the run out.
Lamb to Hales. Oh. Beautifully driven for 4. Blimey, that raced its way through the offside. There's a ring of red shirts inside the circle on that offside, and he's pierced the gap with a terrific punch through the covers for 4. Glorious looking shot.
Very, very good shot. Would have batted together very often, Alex Hales and Sol Budinger, and there was definite hesitation from both, I think, and it cost Budinger his wicket.
Hales to 26 with that magnificent drive through extra cover. The Outlaws to 45 for 2. We're in the 6th, the final over of the power play. Lamb back in, Hales drives, 4 more. Beyond the reach of the bowler, to the right of mid-off, and up towards the big scoreboard on the far side of Trent Bridge. A powerful looking straight drive this time by Alex Hales. 1 through extra cover, 1 back down the ground. He moves to 30, and the Outlaws to 49 for 2.
Brutal when he's when he's on it.
Touching, mentioning that somewhere in the region of 50 for 2 after 6 would be a good power play. Well, 3 balls left of the power play and already touching the 50 mark. The Outlaws, a deep point and a deep mid wicket. Lamb to Hales, it's wide and it's chipped over backward point. 4 more. A hat-trick of boundaries for Alex Hales. One down the ground, one through extra cover, one up and over backward point. The outcome's still the same. 3 successive fours for Hales, who's making the most of the fielding restrictions in the power play. And moves his total to 34 and the Outlaws to 53 for 2.
He's trusting his eye a little bit. I fancy he's batting well outside leg. He's giving himself a lot of room here, isn't he? And he even had to reach for that one and lifted it up and over. He's facing the bowler a little bit and seems to back away, give himself a bit of room.
34 from 20 now. Extra cover comes inside the circles. Backward square leg drops to the rope. Lamb to Hales. Again, a big step to the leg side. Chops the ball down. It's cut off by Saqib Mahmood. That short third man. Hales gets a single. 35 to him. 54 for 2.
In a way, it makes sense because he knows the 2 fielders outside the circle are protecting the ropes on the leg side. So he's trying to hit it to off, knowing that if he bisects a couple of fielders, he's going to get the boundary, and got it away 3 times. Last ball of the power play.
And Duckett on strike with Lamb bowling. That's chopped away for 4 more. Expensive over from a Lancashire Lightning point of view. A terrific 6th over for the Notts Outlaws. This one chopped away through point to end the 6-over power play with, I think, 57 for 2? 58 for 2 at the end of the 6. Duckett 6 and Hales on 35.
It's a very handy finish to the power play there. Ben Duckett is chipping in with a boundary from the last ball of the 6th over, so now things change considerably in tempo because I'm sure we'll see a little bit of pace off the ball. We'll see fielders protecting the ropes. Going to be Tom Hartley, the slow left arm spinner. I actually think he opened the bowling, didn't he, at Old Trafford last week? Bowled the first over.
He did. Finished with 2 for 25 from his 4 overs.
So we've just had pace in the first 6 overs here, but now Dane Vilas has turned to the first of his 3 spinners. 58 for 2. Balls to Hales. Just a pleasing push into the gap on the leg side. Stephen Croft and Matt Parkinson, the other 2 spinners. Hales really went after Croft at Old Trafford last week. Took 5 consecutive boundaries off one Croft over and then perished.
Yeah, they've not gone for any spin in the power play. The game last week at Old Trafford, they started, as you say, with Tom Hartley, and then Stephen Croft bowled the first 2 overs.
Now Duckett on strike, and he will just manipulate the ball into that gap on the leg side. Notts have 60 on the board. We're in the 7th over. Decent enough start. Lancashire obviously fancying their chances of chasing here. Surface was used for the women's match earlier, but still looks a good one. You'd expect it to remain pretty true throughout the day. Hales gets a full pitch delivery which he squeezes out for another run. Moves on to 37, 61 for 2.
The view last night after the game at Wanties Road was that Lancashire just didn't kind of judge or assess the pitch quick enough last night. They batted first, got to 130.
Next ball from Hartley, reverse sweep. Is he going to get away with it? No, he's not. Duckett's gone. A reverse sweep has done for Ben Duckett. He's just popped it up in the air, and Saqib Mahmood round the corner, gobbles up the catch. So the first over of spin brings a wicket. 61 for 3. We're doing an update for BBC Radio Nottingham in just a second. Ben Duckett out for 7. So disappointing couple of matches for Ben Duckett. A duck last night, 7 today. New man should be Tom Morse, and is.
Yeah, just on that point that with regards to last night, Lancashire, say the view from the captain was that they didn't assess the pitch quick enough. They've decided to field first, perhaps, and judge how Notts go about it first.
Just an update for Radio Nottingham. Good news and bad news, I guess. The bad news is that Notts are 3 wickets down. They've just lost Ben Duckett. just starting to manipulate the ball around nicely, made 7, then went for a reverse sweep, an ambitious reverse sweep at the introduction of Tom Hartley, the first spinner we've seen from Lancashire, and popped the ball up into the air. So that was Duckett gone earlier. Joe Clark out for 6 in the first over, then Sol Buddinger got into a little bit of a mix-up and was run out for 10. But the good news, Alex Hales is still there and seems to be on his game today. 37 not out from 23 balls faced, hitting it nice and crisply, and looks very much in the mood. Obviously, if he bats for any length of time, Notts will put runs on the board. They're 62 for 3 in the 7th over, having been asked to bat first against Lancashire. Decent first over from Hartley comes to an end, just 4 runs from it, and the wicket of Ben Duckett. 7 overs have now gone here at Trent Bridge.
Yeah, it's a good over from Tom Hartley. Lancashire captain Dane Villas will be wanting his spinners to play a big part in today's game, with Parkinson, with Croft and with Hartley. In an ideal world, from Lancashire's point of view, all 3 of those will bowl their 4 overs. That's what the captain would want, and then the seamers all kind of dotted in and around them. So a good start from Tom Hartley. Will be spinning from both ends. Now we're through the power play, so Stephen Croft coming into the attack for the first time. Tom Moore's on strike. What's Croft got here? Deep mid-wicket, long off, long on. That's pushed into the onside to the vacant mid-wicket region. Gets a run, does Tom Moores, as Stephen Croft flicks the ball up with his right boot and just about catches it with his left hand.
Pleasant enough day, but does he need to be bowling in sunglasses?
I think he likes to bowl in the old shade, Stephen Croft. I think even on a completely overcast and chilly April day, he'll put his sunglasses on. This is driven through mid-off by Alex Hales for 1. He moves to 38, 64 for 3.
Imagine there's a little bit of trepidation and jeopardy in that last delivery as he ran into bowl to Alex Hales. Just wondering if there'd be a repeat of what happened last weekend when he came on to bowl to Hales.
He's around the wicket to Moores. A wristy shot which is pushed away into the offside. Picked up by Keaton Jennings, there's no run. Long on, long off, deep extra cover, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square leg. Moores whip it away into the onside, but the ball just squirts out again to Keaton Jennings. It's short extra cover. And again, there's no run. 64 for 3, Moores on 2. Just 2 off the over so far with 2 balls left of it. Croft in bowling. Moores driving. Davis will come up from the long off boundary. Moores gets a single. Moves to 3, 65 for 3. Can Stephen Croft get out of the over? Just 3 runs off it so far, but you know who's on strike. And as Dave mentioned, that he took a shine to Croft at Old Trafford the other week. Alex Hales tapping his bat. Croft in, comes down the pitch. In the end, just a little clip out towards the leg side where Croft fields off his own bowling. And 4 runs off the 8th over. The Outlaws 66 for 3.
Yeah, take that, won't you? Stephen Croft, more than happy. Chat between the 2 batsmen, Alex Hales and Tom Moores, who 17 last night, but thought had a very good game behind the sticks. Got 4 catches. A couple of them were very, very decent ones indeed. One he had to very quickly get on his bike and rush out almost towards the discs before he dived underneath and caught one. And then there are a couple that he caught standing up to the wicket of the highest quality. Matt Parkinson is now going to bowl the 9th over of the innings. And for my money, probably the best leg spinner in the country right now. 66 for 3. Bowling to Alex Hales, who's on 39. Single anywhere on the leg side. Hales maybe looking for more than a single. Pushes the first ball back to Parkinson, who of course has had him a time or two. I believe he got him in the semi-final at Edgbaston last year. Bowls and Hales backs away again, pushes it into the offside. I think there was a little bit made of it in that Callum Parkinson had bowled Hales here in the midweek on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or whenever it was, the quarter final, and then we went to finals day and Matt Parkinson bowled Hales, and there's a bit of comparison between the 2 deliveries. 68 for 3 as Duckett hits it down the ground, although of course Matt is a leg spinner and Callum is slow left arm, but they're both in their own canny and wily ways managed to deceive Hales and bowl him. Hales back on strike, moves across his crease and helps this one over the ropes for 6. The ball clattering into those white plastic seats just 2 or 3 rows up on the Smith Cooper stand. And that was a very nice shot indeed. Not a lot that the bowler or the fielders can do when he times it as sweetly as that.
It's a terrific shot. Must have picked the leg spinner nice and early, as you say, went across his crease, didn't he, and then dragged it out toward deep mid-wicket.
Hales on to 46. Next one is pushed into the offside, gets another single to move to 47. 75 for 3, 1 ball left in the 9th over. Lots of had a very strong record over the years against Lancashire, it has to be mentioned.
Just a bit.
Next ball is driven by Tom Moores with a little bit of a flourish down the ground. 76 for 3, 10 from the first Parkinson over.
Especially here. It's a graveyard of Lancashire Lightning defeats, is Trent Bridge. It's a miserable, miserable record of T20 results for Lancashire Lightning at Trent Bridge.
Back-to-back wins, the one here in 2008 and 2009.
They did, and that was their last win back in 2009, and Peter Moores was the Lancashire head coach. It was his first year in charge. It's been defeat after defeat after defeat since then.
Times 8, yeah. 8 in a row. This has been a fixture for many years that just sort of flip-flopped, didn't it? We only played each other once for a while, 1 year at Old Trafford, 1 year here, but it's changed a little bit round now. They've had a bit of a reshuffle, haven't they, Notts and Lancashire, as it should be. 2 of the stronger sides meet home and away now in the T20 schedule. Going to be Luke Wood, 2 overs, none for 11.
Yeah, Lancashire Lightning this year do not play Leicestershire twice or Birmingham Bears twice. Missing out on a trip to Leicester. As Wood comes in and bowls 2 Moores. It'll drop into the offside. He wants a single. Gets one by the time that Keaton Jennings picks the ball up. Moves to 6, 77 for 3.
Notts don't host Northants and don't travel to Headingley.
Oh, you're missing a trip to the Yorkies. We're there next Friday. First Roses match next Friday. Yorkshire were hoping, well, they had similar to Lancashire. They think they effectively sold out that game, but obviously now having to reduce that right down to 4,500.
You were going to meet at Scarborough, weren't you? And I see that's now gone.
Yeah, that's been kiboshed.
You can't go to the seaside, Scott.
No, got me B&B booked and everything. Wood left arm around the wicket, steering it down towards third man, Alex Hales. Not beyond Parkinson, inside the ring. And there's no run. Remains on 47. Yeah, the county championship game scheduled at Scarborough for the 12th of July. I think it is the weekend of the 12th of July, 11th of July. Has been rearranged to Headingley. It's not as much fun.
It isn't. It isn't. I feel your pain.
Wood left arm around to Hales. Little jab through the onside by Alex Hales. Waiting for the ball to come to him, and then just a little flick of the wrist, and the ball disappears quickly out towards mid-wicket for 1. Moves to 48, 78 for 3 now.
That other match in the group started 2:30, Durham 139 for 5 in the 18th over, so they need a strong finish there. England 134 for 1 in the 15th over against Sri Lanka.
Here at Trent Bridge, Notts Outlaws are 78 for 3. Moore's on strike, and Luke Wood comes left arm over to him. He's off his hip, just in front of square on the leg side. Think about 2 because the field's set back, but Finn Allen up to it pretty quickly from deep back with square leg, and when Moore's turned to think about a second, he decided against it. He remains on, moves on to 7. The score ticks along to 79 for 3.
Yes, this ground, certainly with the rope in where it is today, it's not exactly conducive to drop it and run 2, is it? There are some quite large grounds in this group, Old Trafford being one, Durham's another one when the rope's right out.
Wood to Hales.
Oh.
It's a short ball which he ducks underneath it, actually hits his helmet and goes down towards the boundary, and he's got four. Has he got 4 for it? Oh, he's got 4 for it. He's got his 50. Is that deflected off his bat onto his helmet then,
Well,
perhaps?
I don't know. I'm going to have to see that again. I thought it was just helmet. It doesn't seem to be any rush on from physio or anything. It must have been bad, but like you, I thought it was helmet. But it's up there, 52 from 33 balls, 8 fours and 1 6.
Well, apologies to Alex Hales,
Yeah.
not calling his 50 properly there, but that was just a bizarre moment where I thought it had glanced off his helmet, but no, off the bat.
I did, yeah.
He went to duck underneath it. What a way to get to 50, but he's got there. This is a little push away into the offside for 1. He moves to 53. 84 for 3. And of all the glorious shots that Alex Hales has played, not just in this little 53 from 34, but across his magnificent career, that one will be the most unusual way of getting a half century, I would think.
Third time he's past 50. Had 96 not out at Durham, which was eventful in itself. 60 not out on Tuesday against Worcestershire. That 96 not out against Durham, Scott, he missed both of the last 2 balls. Had a swish and a miss at both of them after changing his bat. 4 balls into the final over, his bat broke. Called for a new one, and he missed 2 slow ball bounces from Ben Rain. Finished 96 not out. Here's Hartley. We're into the second half of the innings now, the halfway stage, then 84 for 3. Hartley, the slow left arm spinner, on for his second over. Figures of 1 for 4. Dismissed Ben Duckett, who went for the reverse sweep. Hales has hit this in the air. Might have got Hales here. Is it going to hang up? Oh, it's dropped just short of Stephen Croft, rushing in from deep mid-wicket. Another one he didn't properly get hold of, and I think he'll be pleased he didn't get more of the bat on that one.
I noticed last night Aaron Lilly was 99 not out for Leicestershire.
Dangerous player when he goes in as a pinch hitter. Tom Moore's steady start, quiet start for Tom Moore's. Playing a good role here, actually, just getting Hales back on strike. He's on 8 from 10.
That's quite clever, isn't it, from Moores, as you say? Just nice and steady, but just get a single, get Hales back on strike.
He's perfectly capable of upping the ante. If Hales does get out, then it'll be his job, I'm sure, as Hales has another big mo outside the off stump. Well, Samit Patel and Stephen Mullaney just find their feet in the middle. It'll probably be Tom Moore's job to go on. That's if Hales gets out. Notts, of course, will be open. He stays there till the end. Gets a single again. Away on the offside. 87 for 3.
Well, if he stays there until the end, we're in for some fireworks, aren't we, think? And a big score for the Outlaws.
Well, getting his 50 at the halfway stage suggests could be on for a big score. Next ball clipped again onto the leg side by Moores for a single. Hartley keeping his nerve nicely through that over. 11 have gone. Even I can work out Notts are going at 8 and over. 88 for 3. Tom Moore's 9. Alex Hales 55. This partnership runnable. 27 from 26.
Hartley 2 overs, 1 for 8. Mahmood's bowled 2 overs. Wood's bowled 3, so he's got 1 left. Danny Lamb's bowled 2. Stephen Croft and Matt Parkinson have both bowled 1 over each.
It's going to be Sunglasses Steve again, I think. From the pavilion end, pretty much the entire front of the pavilion, the front area totally blacked out by tarpaulins and screens. And Moores has hit this one up in the air, and Stephen Croft should get a wicket here. Moores will go, caught by Alex Davis in the deep, and it's 88 for 4, and Tom Moore's out for 9. He had been just playing a very reserved, quiet role, but then decides to unleash, and it's straight down the ground to Alex Davis and has to go. Stephen Croft has a wicket, and Lancashire will be very pleased, just chipping away, and keeping Notts in check. New man is Samit Patel, playing his 200th T20 game for Notts out of the 208, I think it is, that they've played. He's just missed a handful whilst on England duty.
Magnificent record, and a wonderful player. A great achievement to reach 200 T20 games for Notts. It's a landmark that Stephen Croft himself passed a couple of weeks ago for Lancashire Lightning, that 200 T20 game mark. So congratulations to Samit Patel, and plenty more to come, you would think.
Well, yeah, I mean, Croft has played abroad, hasn't he?
He has.
He's not played 200 for Lancashire.
That was it was career games.
Yeah, Samit has played the most. He's obviously the first in the domestic T20 Blast to play 200 in the Blast. He's played something like 315 altogether, Samit, but 200 for Notts. I don't think anybody else in world cricket has played as many games for one club or one franchise.
Croft to Hales. He'll clip away towards square leg for a single. 56 to him. 89 for 4.
A lot depending on Hales now.
Absolutely, yeah. 56 from 39. Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney, Luke Fletcher, Matt Carter, Calvin Harrison, Jake Ball for the Outlaws. 89 for 4. We're in the 12th. Croft with his... Has he taken his shades off now? He has. See the white of my eyes. As he's off the back foot and punching away through the offside for a single. And he's off the mark straight away. Got a terrific reception when his name was read out before the game started, when his image flashed up on the big screen and the 200 was flagged up. Got a fantastic round of applause. Croft to Hales again, just pushed back to him. Slightly more sedate contest between these two than what we witnessed at Old Trafford last weekend.
It's the Haslingden fan club in for Samit, that's what it'll be. Plus he's been playing his cricket in Lancashire on Sundays.
Hales step to the leg side and works it away through mid-off for a single. 57 to him now, 91 for 4. Will he be up the motorway again tomorrow then, playing a bit of cricket?
Don't know, Notts don't play till Thursday. I genuinely don't know.
Final over for Croft. And Patel comes down towards him, trying to work it into the onside. Ball just deflects off his pad, pops out into the offside. The keeper comes round to complete the fielding. End of the 12th over, 8 to go, 91 for 4. Hales 57, Patel on 1.
Yeah, not been what you'd call a big over for quite a while for Nottinghamshire. The 9th, Matt Parkinson's 1 over, went for 10 runs. But it was the 6th, Danny Lamb, that went for 18. That was sort of the one really large over of the innings so far up to this point. Notts have just lost their way a little bit, 2 quiet overs, and they've lost the wicket of Moores as well. Here's Hartley to bowl his 3rd over, 1 for 8. Hales backs away and the bowler followed him. Hales calls Samit Patel through for a single, 92 for 4. Yes, I did wonder if I could sort of see what was happening out on the field. I'll just come back to that in a second. Samit scratching away at a mark. Well, it was obviously going to be a presentation ceremony out there on the field, and I could see that Harry Gurney was on the ground and being summoned. 92 for 4, and this one's gone through to the keeper. And certainly over the last day or two, there's been 1 or 2 texts from Samit just confirm that Saturday will be my 200th consecutive, or my 200th game for Notts and whatever. 92 for 4. He can't get it away, pushes it back to Hartley, and I just wondered if Samit thought they'd got this presentation party and everything all set up for him, but no, it was a farewell gift or 2 for Harry Gurney. Patel does get this next one away, but nice bowling from Hartley in this over, 93 for 4. Would have been nice, I guess, to maybe give him a signed Notts shirt or something. 93 for 4. Crowd getting a little boisterous. Don't want any of that, as Hales works it on the leg side for a single. 94 for 4.
Well, it's been a bit lively at some grounds, hasn't it?
Yes, Edgbaston on, was it Thursday night? Just got a little bit silly, didn't it? It's a very, very good over this. Just 3 runs from it. Patel will push into the offside. Hales has got to be quick. Good throw. It's the stumps. Vilas made sure by demolishing
all 3 of them.
Everything. Yeah, 95 for 4. That was a good over from Hartley. And again, Notts are sort of held in a bit of a vice-like grip here by Lancashire. Just can't get the momentum they need. 7 overs to go. Even 10 and over from here is only 165. I say only 165, but it's generally not enough on a good batting service against a good batting side. So they've got to get a little bit of a push on.
Superb figures from Hartley.
Yep.
Tom Hartley, 3 overs, 1 for 12, 6 dot balls. That's a terrific 3 over spell from Hartley. He'll be certain, it looks, to bowl his 4 overs. Parkinson coming back into the attack. First over went for 10. That was that slog sweep, wasn't it, from Hales for 6. He's got Patel on strike. Parkinson in to Patel. And it's clipped away along the ground through the leg side for a single. 4 to him, 96 for 4. Brings Hales back on strike. Parkinson bowling from the pavilion end, and Hales peering over his shoulder, looking to that leg side boundary. There's a long on, a deep mid-wicket, deep backwards square. Parkinson in and bowling, and nudged away towards the edge of the 30-metre circle, but just for 1. Hales to 60. Notts Outlaws move on to 97 for 4. We're in the 14th over. Hales at 60 from 44. Samit Patel, 4 not out, back on strike. Parkinson to Patel, up and over extra cover for a terrific looking shot into the stand for 6. Little dance towards the bowler and then a little into out, but scooped it high over extra cover and over the rope and over the boundary advertising board and into the first row of the stand for 6.
Just seeing that Howard has just got in touch from Argentina saying for his money he'd have Samit batting a little higher. Difficult, very, very difficult, Howard, to fit them all in. They seem to have found a format they like and seem to be sticking with it. Good to hear from you. Nice shot.
103 for 4. He goes again, but more of a top edge this time, and long off will come up and take the catch. Stephen Croft, I think, underneath that for Lancashire Lightning it is. And Patel goes for 10, and Parkinson has his first wicket.
Yeah, real shame for home supporters and for Samit. 6 and out. Patel caught Croft, bowled Parkinson, faced 9 balls, decided to unleash and hit that big 6, but then perished. Ball afterwards. New man is Stephen Mullaney, 103 for 5. That's captain. He's been dogged by these next few words ever since he came to Trent Bridge, but here we go again. Former Lancashire player, of course. Stephen Mullaney. He's played very briefly at the start of his career, having gone through the academy with the likes of Stephen Croft and 1 or 2 others. Carl Brown, of course, who left the game a couple of years ago. 103 for 5. Hales still there on 60. With all due respect to certainly Mullaney and what's to come, he's gradually been running out of partners. The other 5 of the top 6 have now all perished. Here's Parkinson bowling to Hales. Just help himself to a single. Moves on to 61, 104 for 5. No idea what the noise. In fact, they must be Lancashire fans because they were shouting for Rob Jones. Doing the fielding, 104 for 5. Stephen Mullaney has taken guard, the Notts captain. Parkinson to bowl to him. Last ball of the 14th, down the leg side. It's not the last ball, it'll have to be re-bowled. 105 for 5. So Notts have got the 10 from the over. And I was just sort of pointing towards when it began. And chipped back, and has that been caught? Not quite by Parkinson. Threw himself forward, attempting a caught and bowl. Didn't quite carry, very nearly did. End of the over, 105 for 5. Nottinghamshire put into bat by Lancashire. And by and large, they've struggled. A little bit of Abbott to entertain the crowd between overs. 6 to go, 105 for 5. Clark made 6, Buddinger 10, Duckett 7, Moores 9 and Patel 10. So not a lot there. And then you look up at the board, Alex Hales 61 not out from 45 deliveries, the one shining beacon in this Outlaws innings. Topsy-turvy series of performances and results for Notts. Tie last Sunday, emphatic win on Tuesday, tie last night. Hales gets another single. I don't know how this one's going to pan out yet, but it certainly suggests Lancashire the happier of the two camps right now as we go into the final 6 overs. Stephen Mullaney yet to score. There's Tom Hartley to bowl to him, his final over. Mullaney away, Croft doing the fielding. 107 for 5. Four different bowlers sharing the wickets so far. Hales, very elaborate attempt to slog sweep, one that was well wide of the off stump. Goes down on one knee, misses it. Stephen Mullaney's just run down to have a word. We'll never know. 107 for 5, Hartley. Oh, on the full and hit away for 6 by Hales. Well, whatever that word was, he's... oh, crikey. They're all rushing out there. Has somebody been hit by that one? Alex Hales was immediately concerned, and that's obviously very disappointing if somebody's been struck. Hales went rushing over there straight away, and oh no, the ball was on the steps. I just wondered what it was all about. Yeah, a gentleman has stood up, and I think he's been treated by St John's ambulance. Hales knew straight away he's over by the boundary. Just checking that the gentleman is okay. He's stood up. He's holding his hand. I wonder if he's perhaps gone to try and take a catch and got it on the finger end or whatever. Alex Hales gone all the way over there just to check he's okay. That's good from Alex. It's a good shot. Just bringing the gentleman down. A couple of the St John's ambulance volunteers might just James Pipe, the Notts physios there as well, giving everybody the thumbs up. So hopefully he's okay. Tell you what, they come keen, don't they? They come
well prepared, wasn't he?
They come keen.
See the size of his rucksack? He must have had an enormous packed lunch in there. He's come stocked for the afternoon.
Well, people have been here since 10 o'clock this morning,
true,
of course,
yeah,
for the double header. 113 for 5. Hales has 68. False start here from Tom Hartley, who comes in off about a pace and a half, and yet lost his run up. Here he comes again, bowls. Hales will just run this away with an open face down towards third man, and it's gone for 4. So useful runs for Notts, 6 and a 4, and Hales into the 70s. 72 not out of 117 for 5.
You've got full value if you're a Notts fan in Trent Bridge today. Watching Alex Hales already worth your time to come down and watch it. Been terrific. 72 from 49, some wonderful shots.
And yet I would say not quite at his fluent best. Been a little bit in and out. Next ball he'll push for a single to keep strike. 118 for 5 after 15. So there is the decent over for Notts that I was just suggesting that they need 13 from it. Parkinson now 2 overs 1 for 20. I beg your pardon, that was Hartley, wasn't it, who bowled that over, and he's bowled out 4 overs 1 for 25.
Yeah, he's kind of ruined his figures a bit, that over. It was going along beautifully. Was it 3 overs 1 for
Not very many.
12, I think. 3 overs, 1 for 12.
Well, that went for 13, yeah. So, 3 overs, 1 for 12.
It's ruined it for him. It's a decent effort, though, from Hartley. Parkinson's going to bowl his third. Hales on strike. And he just pulls away as he's about to release the ball, with Stephen Mullaney perhaps just teetering towards the edge of his crease.
A game of brinkmanship there, I think.
Parkinson over the wicket. Hales looks to try and sweep the ball. Umpire Neil Bainton signals a wide as Villas appeals for a catch. Wide signalled 119 for 5.
They're all laughing.
Twirl of the bat from Alex Hales. He's a tall man who dominates the crease, and he's leaning into this next delivery. Pushed away through mid-wicket for 1. He moves to 74, score to 121 for 5. Correction, 120 for 5.
Yeah.
Mullaney back on strikes, all 3 out on that leg side boundary.
Well, Notts were really reliant on Alex Hales, not for the first time, of course. We're just entering the final 5 overs of this Notts Outlaws innings. They're 122 for 5. Alex Hales 74 not out. He's not been anywhere near his best, you'd have to say. A couple of big sixes, but once or twice he's had an ambitious swish at it and missed it. He's seen the rest of the top 6 all depart. Sol Budinger run out for 10, Samit Patel also for 10, the only others to get into double figures. Stephen Mullaney's captain's just come out to join him, he's on 3, but almost a one-man show here. Notts put into bat. They've got Alex Hales 74 not out with 4.5 overs to go. They're 122 for 5. Single taken by Mullaney, and I'd love that score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Simple things, Scott.
As is the case, the simple things make it more enjoyable. Hales waits as Parkinson comes in and bowls, looking to sweep the ball. Hales, but hits something. Deflects out into the offside. There's no run. And Hales still down on one knee, saying, "Well, I'm quite sure how I didn't get a hold of that." Trying to sweep Matt Parkinson. Change of line from the Lancashire leg spinner. And decided that to Hales, he's going to bowl around the wicket. Goes for a sweep, gets a hold of this one, 6 more, clearing Rob Jones, who's back with a square on that leg side boundary. Absolutely clobbered that one, Alex Hales. He moves to 80. End of the over. Nice way to end it for the Outlaws as well, with that big beefy 6 out towards deep square leg. 129 for 5.
Yeah, 3 decent overs in a row. Another 11 run over. Started with a wide, which always helps the cause, and finished with a big 6, just reflecting on the previous 6 he hit. Hales must have just kept his eye on that all the way, because almost before the spectator was showing any signs of obviously being hurt, Hales was running out towards the Smith Cooper stand to check on him. So he certainly must have followed that one all through the air and to see where it had landed. 129 for 5. 24 have come from the last 2 overs, and Saqib Mahmood's back into the attack.
Well, out in the 90s already this season in the blast, Alex Hales.
No, 96 not out.
Sorry, 96 not out. He's got 4 overs. He's on 80, a non-striker's end. There's a chance for him.
Yeah, I say he should have had one at Durham, but missed the 2 last balls. But it was the new bat, I think, that got the blame. Fancy breaking your bat, 96 not out.
Crikey, now. Here is Saqib Mahmood. With Mullaney on strike. Cut towards the backward point boundary. Let's get 1 for it. Moves on to 5, 130 for 5. Tom Hartley coming up from that deep backward point boundary to field. Mullaney content, perhaps, the Outlaws skipper, to take 1 and get Hales back on strike. So what Mahmood got here? He's got a deep backward point, deep extra cover, deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on. All outside the ring. Saqib Mahmood right on over the wicket, bowling to Hales, full and wide, and Hales with a step to the leg side, trying to smear it away through the offside, but can't get bat and ball through to the keeper, and there's no run.
A little bit slingy that one, wasn't it? It was a quick delivery, but a little bit slingy, full outside the off stump. Very fortunate to be in Barbados for that North v South series back in 2018. In the first of the 3 matches there, Saqib Mahmood got a 5-for, and they were all late on in the piece when he came back right at the death, and they were all Yorkers, all clean bowled, right up in the block hole, every one of them.
This one's right up in the block hole as well, but driven away by Hales, cut off by Wood, tumbling around to his right at mid-off. Hales gets a single, 81 to him, 131 for 5.
Slightly too full, wasn't it? Hales able to get it away. Durham made 164 for 8 at Edgbaston, the other North Group game, the one that started half an hour before this one. England are 171 for 6 in the final over against Sri Lanka down at the Ageas Bowl.
Mahmood to Mullaney, driven through extra cover for 4 runs for Stephen Mullaney. To the left of Jennings inside the circle, there is that cover boundary, but he was a little square at Rob Jones and raced its way towards the boundary for 4 for the Notts Outlaws skipper. Crunched away. 135 for 5. Takes him to 9.
One player on 81, the next top score is 10.
As the sun appears. Quite a pleasant afternoon, isn't it? Temperatures are quite nice. Good crowd in, nice atmosphere. Hopefully set for a good game of T20 cricket. Mahmood to Mullaney again, down on 1 knee, to crunch the ball away through extra cover. Quite time it as well as the previous one.
Now, are these Lancashire fans or are they Notts fans just giving Rob Jones a little bit of grief because they keep chanting Jonah and Jonesy Jonesy give us a wave and all that sort of thing? Maybe Notts fans just having a little bit of entertainment at Rob Jones' expense out there.
He's got his own fan club as Rob.
Well, yeah,
he's a lovely lad. He's got his own fan club. Probably quite pleased the boundary's probably 20 yards in. Not quite within proper shouting distance.
I don't think they're the most hostile here in the ground.
No, it's nice and gentle. Hales at the top edge, but the top edge clears short, fine leg and down towards the boundary. Oh, it just plugs, but it still reaches the rope. Little scratch of the chin from Saqib Mahmood. It's 4 for Hales, takes him to 85. And Notts Outlaws at the end of that over, 17 gone, a 140 for 5.
Yeah, 11 from that one, another obviously 10 plus over. Yeah, I don't think the Fox Road stand at Trent Bridge has got the same sort of reputation as the Western Terrace, the Hollis stand, or Chelmsford on a boozy Sunday afternoon or Friday night for a T20, but they're having a little bit of fun with Rob Jones out there, and I think that's the way you got to take it, isn't it? If you're a fielder on the fence.
Can be a bit brutal on a Friday evening in Chelmsford, can't it?
It can indeed, yeah.
Even not at the cricket.
3 to go, 140 for 5. Simple brace girdle maths, 10 and over. Last 3 overs takes Notts to 170. It's not a score that's guaranteed to win you a game, but it's going to make the opposition work hard for the runs. Here comes Daniel Lamb, 2 overs for 29, bowling to Stephen Mullaney. Little clip out onto the leg side. Alex Davis doing the fielding. Single taken, brings Hales back onto strike. He's on 85.
Yeah, Lamb into his 3rd over. Mahmood's got 1 left. Wood's got 1 left. Parkinson's still got 1 to go as well. That might be a bit risky. Quite expensive today is Parkinson.
Here comes Lamb from the pavilion end, bowling to Hales, comes down the track. Well, he's jabbed the ball into the ground and then it sort of zigzagged its way back to bowler Danny Lamb. It was almost one of those sidewinder snakes going this way and that way as it tried to counterbalance its way against the spin.
That'd be a good name for a franchise, the Sidewinder Snakes.
141 for 5. Next ball down the leg side, well stopped by Dane Vilas. Now then, what's it going to be? It's going to be a leg by. I think he saved 3 off the total there. That seemed to be skipping away past him. Good stop from the Lancashire skipper, the South African. 36 years of age now, Vilas. Been a very good pick-up. 142 for 5. Halfway through the 18th. Mulaney's got hold of this one. Doesn't even bother to run a single pace. Stays in his crease. Knew he'd hit it for 6. Lovely shot from Mulaney.
Brilliant shot. Outstanding hit from Mulaney, that. Absolutely right out the meat of the bat, wasn't it? Down the ground, 6. His mate was at long off, Stephen Croft, but he's no chance of cutting that off. Terrific hit.
Now, widest long off and a widest long on, so if you hit it straight like Mulaney did there, no danger at all. 148 for 5. So 8 from 4 balls in this over. There's Lamb in. It's gone again, but this time he's hit it to long on. I'll just get a single. Luke Wood doing the fielding. 149 for 5. So 9 from 5 balls. Hales back on strike on 85. T20 Vitality Blast North Group. Lamb to Hales. He's hit that one crisply, but will only get a single, so they do get the 10 from the over, bring up the 150. In the meantime, Danny Lamb 3 overs, none for 38. He's a contender to bowl the final over, but I would suggest he might not get it.
They've done quite well here, haven't they, not? Managed just to press on the gas a little bit in the last 3 or 4 overs. Push it up to 150 for 5 with 2 left. So they got that chance of getting up towards kind of 170 mark, which looked a decent way off at one stage. So they're ending the innings well, and that can mean a lot when you come out to defend the total.
I don't think we've learnt too much about the surface either, other than that it's a good one. It doesn't seem to matter too much whether it's pace or spin. Nobody's getting that much assistance. Similar sort of bowling attacks. Knotts will go in with the 3 spinners, of course. Matt Carter, Calvin Harrison and Samit Patel. Mulaney will take pace off the ball, and then the quicks in Jake Ball and Luke Fletcher. So similar sort of attacking lineups.
Percent of spin so far. Hartley 4 overs, Croft 2 and Parkinson 3. Wood to bowl out. This is his 4th and final over, the penultimate one of the innings. Oh, that's clobbered down the ground. Umpire Billy Taylor with some good reactions, ducking underneath it and then getting up, looking behind him to see it's gone for 4 and signaling it's gone for 4.
Crikey, you don't want to be thinking about what groceries you've got to pick up on the way home, do you? That just seemed to miss the umpire's head by a fraction. Absolutely drilled back by Hales.
Into the 90s now. 90 from 60 in a total of 154 for 5. Is an outstanding return for the Outlaws. For Hales, his Wood left arm over the wicket to him. Ooh, thick top edge, back over the keeper. 1 bounce out towards the boundary, takes him to 94. And he's 1 big swing away from a T20 century, is Alex Hales. Thick balloon top edge over the keeper, Dane Vilas, who instantly folded his arms and probably thinking to himself, well, crikey, not much I can do about that. But 94 from 61, 158 for 5. Hales is 1 blow away from 3 figures.
Luke Wood, his former teammate, gone for back-to-back boundaries. Comes in to bowl to Hales on 94. This one's hammered out into the offside. They'll just get a single. 159 for 5. The Rob Jones fan club are pleased about that.
Yeah, it's under a bit of pressure, aren't you, when you've got when you got your fans behind you, cheering every move you made. Mulaney back on strike, halfway into this 19th over. Not skipper. Thinking, well, perhaps I'll try and get a boundary. If not, let's get Alex Hales back on strike. He's good fun to watch at the minute. It's a terrific 95 for Hales today. Mullaney waits, turns the ball from outside off stump, out to backward square leg. Gets one, decent outcome, either a boundary or get off strike. Mullaney moves to 19 from 12, 160 for 5, and the main event's back on strike.
The main event, 160 for 5. There's a hashtag, isn't there? Was there a wrestler, the main event? I'm not sure. Sure. That is a good nickname. He's had a few. When he first went to Australia, they called him the Sheriff. He's on 95. Luke Wood bowls to Hales, moved across his crease, chops it down in the ground, won't get a run. And Wood does the fielding. 10 from this over already. That's been the way for the last few overs. In fact, overs 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and now 19 have all produced 10 or more. Most expensive over was the 6th, Daniel Am going for 18. 10 from 5 balls here. Hales on 95, 7 balls left in the innings. There's Wood in to bowl. He's hit that for 6, and Alex Hales gets another T20 century for Nottinghamshire. His 2nd for Notts. A fabulous innings, this one. Really was. Gets a hug from Stephen Mullaney and gets there in the best possible fashion, heaving the ball over the ropes from former teammate Luke Wood. That's terrific from Hales.
It is. It's magnificent, and what a brilliant way to get there. That's an outstanding century. 101, 64 balls, 12 fours, 4 sixes, and that was a pretty emphatic way to get to 3 figures.
In the context of this game, useful runs as well from that over and from the last ball. 16 from the over, the 6th T20 century scored by a Notts Outlaws batsman, the 2nd by Hales. His previous was 101 against Yorkshire back in 2017, so he's matched that. Don't think he's going to go on to get the highest score. Joe Clark's 136 against Northants earlier this year. That's out of the question. But he's been too long on 1 for Notts. It's his 4th in all. Final over.
Yeah, Mullaney on strike. Had the fireworks before the start of the game, and we've had fireworks with Alex Hales. Here's Mahmood to Mullaney. Up and over extra cover. I'll have 6, please, says the Outlaws skipper. Up onto his toes and getting it over Keaton Jennings inside the ring and out towards the Smith-Cooper stand for 6 for the Outlaws captain. He wants to join the party as well. Great way to start the final over of the innings, and Notts Outlaws now up to and beyond that 170 mark. 172 for 5. And Stephen Mullaney's 25 from 13.
It's actually Hales' 5th T20 century.
Mahmood to Mullaney. Swap the ball away through the onside. There's a massive appeal from Saki Mahmood. The ball, doesn't really go anywhere. It just drops into the crease, the batting crease. And the umpire, Neil Baton's not interested. And Mullaney just rehearses the attempted shot, which was trying to flick it away through mid-wicket. It's a dot ball. Lancashire will take that. There's not been many of them of late.
A world of difference between 172 and 180. Notts could have a good end to the innings here. 4 balls left.
Mahmood in to Mullaney. Swing and a miss. A bit of extra pace, I think, from Mahmood. May have done for Mullaney there. Taken by Dane Villas. Successive dot balls. 3 left of the innings. Mullaney looking to smoke it somewhere over a boundary here at Trent Bridge, to the delight of the home supporters.
It was from I think a relatively early stage, sort of thinking it was going to be Hales versus Lancashire today. Moore's got out, it was 88 for 4 when Patel got out 103 for 5.
This is driven up towards long off. He might be caught here. He is. Stephen Croft takes the catch. And coming in from that long off boundary, Mullaney departs for 25.
Yeah. 172 for 6. Halfway through the final over. Dot wicket. 16 balls for Stephen Mullaney, 1 4 and 2 sixes.
Actually, quite a good little cameo that, wasn't it, from the captain? I mean, Hales obviously will get the headlines, but the previous, there are only 2 other batters that reached double figures, Budinger and Patel. So 25 from the skipper, very handy runs alongside Alex Hales.
Harrison, who got a first ball duck last night. He's at the non-striker's end.
Yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it, for Notts? They're crossed. Hales on strike. Face, from his point of view, we'll be hoping to face the final 2 balls.
Yeah.
Smack them for a 4 or a 6. Leg side boundary, all on the rope. Long on, deep mid-wicket, and deep backward square. 101 not out. Magnificent from Hales today. 172 for 6. Mahmood bowls to him. A swing and a miss, and through to the keeper, and there's no run.
It's a terrific final over. You know, the comeback, having gone for 6 from the first ball.
Yeah, 6 dot wicket and a dot. Can he end it, Saqib Mahmood? 2 for 35 from his 3.5 overs. Hales flexes the shoulders, twirls the bat, and is on the brink of carrying his bat for the Outlaws. Final ball of the innings. What can they get to? The Notts Outlaws. Here's Mahmood into Hales. He pushes it wide. They'll try and get through for 1, and Hales might just get through for 1. Yeah, it's a bye. He's not been run out. Mahmood trying to run him out, and he will remain unbeaten. Magnificent from Hales. 101 not out, and the Outlaws finish on 173 for 6.
Just 7 from that final over. Great comeback from Saqib Mahmood. 4 overs, 2 for 35. Alex Hales running off. A little strange. He'll obviously want to go and get his gear off and get ready, but it's often nice when they're allowed just to walk off in their own sweet time and acknowledge the crowd. So 173 for 6 is the score. Alex Hales 101 not out. He lost. Joe Clark caught wood, bowled Mahmood for 6. That was 6 for 1 in the first over. Sol Budinger run out by Finn Allen for 10. Mix up with Hales there. 34 for 2 in the 4th over. Ben Duckett trying reverse against Tom Hartley. Caught Saqib Mahmood, bowled Hartley for 7. 61 for 3 in the 7th. Tom Moores caught in the deep by Alex Davis off Stephen Croft for 9. 88 for 4 in the 12th. Sami Patel caught Croft, bowled Parkinson 10. 103 for 5 in the 14th. In the final over, Stephen Mullaney caught Croft, bowled Mahmood for 25. 172 for 6. Calvin Harrison out there just for a couple of balls, didn't face. Hales 101 not out with 12 fours and 1 6. 173 for 6. Notts Outlaws. We'll see how Lancashire get on in their reply when we come back in about 5 or 6 minutes' time.
Forget the noise. Ignore what lurks in the darkness. That feeling in the pit of your stomach. Doubt. Fear. When it's your time to step up, will you be more? More than the rest? More than expected? Be more.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. At the end of those 20 overs, the Notts Outlaws post 173 for 6. Our thanks to Dave and Scott, and they will be back very shortly with the Lancashire Lightning's response. Well, really, from a Notts Outlaw point of view, that innings was all about one man, and that man was Alex Hales. 101 not out. And if you're new to T20, you don't really see many opening batters still be there at the end. An absolutely fantastic innings there, and one that he's kind of held together all the way through. Absolutely fantastic to watch. But what will the Lancashire Lightning response be? Well, we are only a few minutes away from that. Just so you all kind of know where we are in the standings regarding the Vitality Blast, let's take a look at the North group, because at the moment Notts are sitting on top of that group on 11 points. Now they are there on net run rate, and it is quite close regarding the rest of the teams in and around the top 4 positions, which are the top 4 that qualify for the knockout stages. So as you can see, Lancashire Lightning are on 8 points in that group. Don't forget, 2 points up for grabs. So if they get those 2 points, then that will mean that they are closer to those at the top. And if we just look at the bottom, the Steelbacks are there. Obviously they beat the Lancashire Lightning last night, so very positive result for them there. And just above them, the Leicestershire Foxes, who Notts will face next. Regarding the two sides that you're watching here today, from the Outlaws' point of view and the Lancashire's point of view, let's just look at those two in a little bit more detail. 8 games played from both of them, but what you can see is that Notts have won just one more game. For the Lancashire Lightning, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. 3 wins and 3 losses. From Notts' point of view, they've had 3 ties. You don't see that very often either. 3 ties. One on the opening day against the Worcestershire Rapids, and one against the Derbyshire Falcons away, and one in the middle that's stuck in there as well. Now, if we concentrate on the Notts Outlaws, your Notts Outlaws, we can just see where the results have come from. From the Notts point of view, it's been in that middle section where they got on that winning run. 3 wins back to back there from the Steelbacks against the Durham Cricket, and obviously the Derbyshire Falcons here at Trent Bridge. As you can see there, the 3 ties, Worcester Rapids, as I just mentioned, on the opening day, and that second one coming against Lancashire Lightning last Sunday up at Emirates Old Trafford. Now, as we literally just await the Lancashire Lightning and the umpires, you can see that the Notts Outlaws are just in the background over my left shoulder. They're getting ready, the bowlers are getting ready. I hope you're getting ready. 173 for 6. That's what the Outlaws posted. Lancashire Lightning need 174 to win. The 20 overs will be with you very, very shortly.
T20 century in this format for Notts, long overdue for Hales. Hit 12 fours and a 6, very much the star performer. He had a little bit of help in the back end of the innings. Stephen Mullaney, a quick fire 25, couple of 6s from the captain there. Otherwise only Sol Budinger and Samit Patel reached double figures, but with Hales firing and dominating the strike, you don't need a great deal of support. 173 for 6 is the score. We'll find out over the next hour and a half if it's enough. Lancashire require 174 to win. They'll start their innings in about 5 minutes' time. Our umpires for this fixture, Billy Taylor and Neil Bainton, making their way out to the middle. They'll be followed by the players in just a moment. Notts have posted 173 for 6. So from their point of view, over to the bowlers. For Lancashire, 174 is the required mark. Could, for the second week running, be on for a very thrilling contest between these two sides. Dane Vilas, the Lancashire captain, of course, winning the toss, opting to chase, so will have backed his troops to get over the line here. Might well have been expecting to perhaps chase a smaller target when Notts were reduced to 105 for 5 after 14 overs, but back end of the innings belonged to Alex Hales and Stephen Mullaney. Notts have got a score on the board, and Scott Reed alongside me. Just remains to be seen now how confident Lancashire will go about this, and will that confidence bring success?
Well, actually, that's probably the key word from Lancashire's point of view, is confidence, because they won't be full of it. They've had a pretty average T20 group stage so far. They've won a couple of games early on against Derbyshire, against Leicestershire, but they've been pretty indifferent really so far. So not brimming with an enormous amount of confidence. I don't think that's going to be acceptable when you've not won too many games, but they've got some fine players, and you would think it's only a matter of time before they come to the party.
You've been pouring through your notes there and your recent record of recent matches. Have you had a look how many Notts got at Old Trafford last Sunday?
Oh yes, exactly, 172.
172. They got 173 this time, so it's very much game on, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Very, very similar to what we had a week ago. Samit Patel playing his 200th T20 game for Notts Outlaws. He's going to open the bowling.
Yeah, that's Stephen. I've got Finn Allen and Keaton Jennings, the two opening batters for Lancashire Lightning, and Jennings will face the first delivery.
Not sure if Allen's played here before. We certainly know all about Keaton Jennings. Certainly had one, if not two, centuries here in the longer format.
Here comes Patel to Jennings. Little push into the offside. He thought there was a very comfortable single there.
Well, there was.
And Finn Allen wasn't for moving. And Keaton Jennings says, "Well, hang on.
Yeah,
there's a run there."
There was a bit between the two there, wasn't it? He was saying, "Why didn't you run?" and shrug and all sorts of things.
Yeah,
very peculiar.
Finn was not for moving. Patel fizzes one in to Jennings. That's clipped away into the onside. Good stop by Mullaney at mid-wicket, and there's no run. They've not played together too often.
They're still chattering. Alan's gone half the way down there to have a word with him.
Patel in and bowls. Appeal for an LBW as Jennings looks to try and reverse sweep it. Not out, says the umpire. Leg by has been signalled. This is just the third time that these two have played together. The first time was against the Notts Outlaws, and there was a run out.
Not until 118 had been added.
I hasten to add. The second time they played together was last night at Northants. Jennings making 6 and Allen making 16.
How many did they put on then? It's not many, presumably.
No. So it started very well. Following game, not so. That can happen, of course, in T20. Yeah. Allen on strike. A little push into the offside. He wants a single. Jennings is more alert to it. Throw comes in. It might have been tight with a direct hit. They're a bit on edge.
They are.
Keaton Jennings and Finn Allen. I've got to run for it, but it was a rather stressful run between those two without loss.
My name's Keaton. Pleased to meet you.
Allen off the mark with that. Well, it's been a busy 4 deliveries so far. Patel around the wicket. Jennings goes right back and up onto his toes and eases the ball through the onside for a single. A more sedate, gentle one there. No need to have too many concerns.
Yeah, it suits Notts if they're just looking to play themselves in with a number of singles. It's when somebody goes kapow right from the off. It's 4 or 5 big shots in the first 2 overs.
No big shot here because Finn Allen just plays a little forward defensive, just trying to work it into the onside. That's the end of the over. A good one for Samit Patel and the Notts Outlaws. Just 2 runs off it. Correct? Yeah, 2 runs off the ball. Of course, the extra as well. So Jennings has 1, Allen has 1. Lancashire Lightning 3 without loss.
Of course, the last time Notts played here, Samit Patel became, well, he's got that many records, but world record breaker, the most economical 4-over spell ever in T20 cricket, with 4 overs 3 for 4 on Tuesday night against Worcestershire.
Blimey.
Quite extraordinary stuff.
That takes some doing, doesn't
yeah.
it?
Well, I've written Luke Fletcher because Luke Fletcher took his cap off and walked to the umpire, and they've obviously had a change of mind, a change of heart, and it's going to be Matt Carter, but definitely Luke Fletcher appeared as if he was going to have this second over. I wonder if he'd not read the game plan, or there was a second switch from Stephen Mullaney, or whether Bracegirdle interpreted it wrong. He'd just taken his cap off to scratch his head, I don't know, but there's going to be Matt Carter bowling to Keaton Jennings. Both batsmen have 1. There's a leg by as well. Fielder either side, and this one has just been run out to backward point. Sol Budinger fields. He's squad number 1, and Keaton Jennings squad number 1. Budinger's first bit of fielding, obviously, since the last ball last night at Derby. Talk about incident-packed conclusions to a game. Certainly was there. Well, Notts came back from the dead, took 4 wickets in 5 balls. Next one's helped away on the leg side, cries of catch, but Finn Allen, the muscular New Zealander, doesn't properly get hold of that. That's a strong throw in from Joe Clark that reared up and nearly took Tom Moores off his feet. 5 without loss. Notts need wickets. You know the danger men. This pair, and Davis and Croft and Vilas. That's before you get to Rob Jones and Luke Ward and all the rest. Attempted reverse sweep brings a run to Keaton Jennings. 6 without loss. Ben Duckett out on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Might be brought into play here. Well, he's bowled him. Finn Allen did look towards mid-wicket, but the swish of the bat didn't make contact with the ball, and Matt Carter gets the early breakthrough, and Finn Allen goes. Keaton Jennings turned his back to him. Look, there's no, there's no reason for any chat between the two batsmen. One of them's out, but it didn't look as if it was the most harmonious opening partnership I've ever seen there. Finn Allen bowled by Carter for 2.
Yeah, going back, trying to force the ball away, wasn't he? Finn Allen through the onside. Maybe a bit of turn, certainly a bit of bounce from Carter. And a really sticky start to the reply, really, in truth, from Lancashire Lightning. A little frantic at times in that first over. It's produced the wicket of Finn Allen, who has got a couple of contributions so far since he's arrived at Lancashire. Got a 60 in the game against Notts Outlaws at Old Trafford last week, and his first match for Lancashire, 29 as well. But I'm sure he'll be a little frustrated that perhaps he's not consistently chipped in with runs so far.
Well, you often see those that get a score against a side one week will sometimes fail the next, and obviously the reverse is true. And Red Rose supporters might be looking at Alex Davis and just reflecting he got a 3-ball duck against Notts last Sunday, caught and bowled by Stephen Mullaney. A fine catch by the Notts skipper. Carter to bowl the 5th ball of this second over to Alex Davis, and straight away he's down the track and into his work. Gets a single. It almost left his crease there, Davis, before Carter had let go of the ball. A little bit of a difference in height between Matt Carter and Alex Davis, as they were stood next to each other momentarily there. He's not the tallest, is he? He's built to be a jockey, Alex Davis. Carter built to be a fast bowler like his brother, but he's a tall off-spinner, and a single taken by Keaton Jennings brings the second over to an end. 8 for 1 is the score. Successful over for Carter. Notts at the same stage were 12 for 1. They lost Joe Clark.
Yeah, good over that from Carter. He can spin into the attack nice and early. I think helped by the fact that Patel had bowled so well in the first over, and perhaps a partnership and a batting lineup from a Lancashire point of view that is not full of absolute confidence at the minute. And that was perhaps demonstrated by Finn Allen going back onto the back foot, trying to force the ball away through the onside, but that ball slipping through and crashing into the stumps. A good start for the Notts Outlaws. Keaton Jennings on 3. Samit Patel to bowl again. Reverse hit from Jennings, and he's caught it nicely for 4.
There's a lady there in a pink coat, absolutely determined not to be struck by the ball. She was cowering as it was coming towards her. I'm not seeing that gentleman come back, Scott, that was led away. He was injured, hopefully only slightly injured, by a 6 from Alex Hales that went into the crowd. I don't know if he tried to catch it on the full or it ricocheted off something and struck him, but St John's ambulance went over and looked after him earlier.
Patel to Jennings. He'll skip towards the bowler and clips it into the onside for 1. 13 for 1. Yeah, he's certainly not gone back to the seat he was previously occupying, so hope he's okay. 2
ways to skin a cat, as they always say. Lancashire all seam in the power play, Notts all spin so far.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Second over of Patel, 1 from Carter. And the third over of the Lancashire Lightning reply. Outlaws 173 for 6, Lightning 13 for 1. Alex Davis waiting for Samit Patel, in and bowling. Hit back down the ground, past the stumps, down towards the boundary below us. It'll have enough on it, I think, to reach the rope for 4. It does. And Davis moves up to 5. Score moves on to 17 for 1.
Fine margins. That could have only been an inch or so away from hitting the stumps, I think. And obviously, had it done so, in all probability, no runs, but missed the stumps and went for 4. Stumps at the non-striker's end I'm referring to. Is a very straight hit down the ground.
Davis again skipping forward, looking to try and send it back down the ground, but doesn't time it this time. Bobbles back toward the bowler. And there is no run. Davis on 5. Patel around the wicket, and he goes over mid-on this time. Alex Hales at mid-on, but he's watching it fly over his shoulder and head and the rope for 6. Davis to 11. And Lancashire Lightning 174 to win the game. 23 for 1 with 1 ball left for the third. It's been picked up by someone in the crowd, so it'll need to be sanitised by the umpire.
Just what they need, a little bit of impetus at this stage. This the second match in a double header, and remember the first one was a defeat for Lightning, but it was the local women's side. It used to be called Loughborough Lightning, just called Lightning now. They lost to the South East Stars before this match.
Patel to Davis. He goes for the same shot, clearing Hales at mid-on. Is it the same outcome? I think it is. Down towards the boundary. The umpires have a little look to each other. They're looking to Alex Hales for some guidance as well. And what's the outcome? It's 6. So it's successive 6s to end the second over from Samit Patel. Davis will move up to...
It's 29 for 1. Davis is on 17. I only say that because I've got the live stream to assist. It is sometimes infuriating, Scott, here at the ground when they cut to wonderful pictures of the crowd enjoying themselves, and heaven knows we've been starved of that for so long, but it's always when you're just looking to see what the score is.
That was a much needed over, that wasn't it, from Lancashire Lightning. They had to get themselves going, really.
Best over of the day, with 21 runs coming from it. A couple of 6s to conclude it. Jake Ball will bowl the 4th over. Duckworth-Lewis comparison right now shows that Lancashire Lightning are ahead. After this first ball, they should be on 25. Well, they're already on 29. So here is Jake Ball into Keaton Jennings. Push into the offside. Decent bit of fielding by Budinger, and Shies at the stumps as well. Alex Davis is home, but that's good from young Sol, 21-year-old. 30 for 1. So Lancashire 5 runs ahead on Duckworth Lewis. I'm not saying that because it's going to rain or we're going to be interrupted, because we're not, but it just gives you a bit of a guideline as to where they are in terms of the run chase. That will, I'm sure, fluctuate as the innings goes along. Jake ball to Alex Davis, who's hit his last 2 deliveries for 6. He's on 17 from 5 and gets one outside the off stump that was rising sharply, and you can see what he was trying to do. Just open the face and run it towards third man. Might just have been guiding it towards Luke Fletcher there if he'd got bat on that. Fletcher just on the discs at short third. Good pace from Ball, who, after his injury on the first day of the season, now fully fit again, bowling well. He's in, bowl's clipped away on the leg side. Thought that was going to be a lot closer to the fielder than it was. They've come back for a couple of runs as Duckett Fields duck it out there. There's now assumed command, I think, of the Rob Jones fan club on that side of the ground. 32 for 1.
I was with you actually, Dave. I thought that was heading towards mid-wicket for a second.
Looked as if Joe Clark was going to be in the game from the angle we're viewing it. 32 for 1. Davis has 19. Ball bowls to him. Slaps this to Mullaney at mid-off, and there's no run. Lancashire require 142 more.
Leading wicket taker this season in the Blast, I think, isn't he? Jake Ball for Notts. Yeah, 11 wickets. Oh, level with Carter, actually. He's now got 11.
Davis will get a single, forcing this into the offside. Yes, after last night, I've lost track a little bit. His game's coming thick and fast. Missed the first couple of games. Jake Ball, Dane Patterson played in those, but 11 wickets for Ball. 4, 5, 8, 9. I've got 10 for Carter. Oh, and of course his 11th today. Yeah. There's Ball to Keaton Jennings, pushes it back to Jake Ball. And that's the end of the 4th over. 33 for 1, just 4 from it. It will, as I say, fluctuate between Lancashire getting a bit of momentum and occasionally, you would assume from time to time, Notts dragging it back, and it will be the latter stages, pretty sure, where this will be concluded.
Well, I suppose that's Lancashire's plan here, isn't it? I mean, as I say, they're not full of energy and confidence, you wouldn't have thought, because they've not won many and they've not played at their absolute best this season in the Blast, but taking the game as deep as they can. Well, what a good power play in terms of wickets lost. You're almost to a degree sacrificing runs to keep wickets in hand. You don't want to be losing more than 2 in the first 6 overs to give them a chance of trying to take the game as deep as they can, which is something they've not managed to do, is make games last and take them deep. And they're 4 overs into the power play. It's 33 for 1. There's Luke Fletcher as Davis comes down and cracks the ball with little timing up towards, in the end, mid-off, which is not quite where he was aiming. Fielded by Stephen Mullaney. Davis gets 1. He moves to 21. 34 for 1.
Fletcher has 9 wickets in the Blast this year. He was very much involved in the latter stages last night when he got 2 in 2. The start of the 19th over. Calvin Harrison had finished the 18th with 2 in 2. It was quite extraordinary.
Sounds eventful. Fletcher in, and well, Keaton Jennings tumbling across his stumps and ramping the ball over his shoulder, over the keeper and down towards the boundary for 4. I chuckle because you just don't often see Keaton Jennings playing that type of shot, but he managed to get bat on ball. It wasn't perhaps the most elegant effort from Keaton Jennings, but he moves to 38 for 1.
No, it wasn't. You can work on that in the nets for a couple of hours a day all week, and you still wouldn't execute it like that. He ended up flat on the floor, 4 feet outside his off stump, having scooped the ball over the keeper.
Fletcher to Jennings. Drop into the onside. Davis wants one. Side foot towards the goal from Fletcher. And Davis has made his ground. Umpire Neil Baton in position. And he thought he'd slotted into the bottom corner to make it 2-0. But he was home.
I've seen that once this season, and Luke Fletcher was the unlucky recipient. Is it Josh Tom of Worcestershire?
Yep.
He ran him out, and young Curran did it in the ODI the other night, apparently, although I didn't see that.
Yeah, he went away.
Or the T20 International.
It was, yeah. He was celebrating like Alan Shearer with his right arm aloft. Davis back on strike. It's Fletcher for the Outlaws. In and bowls, muscled away for 6. Stand and deliver. Deep in his crease. And then hiking the ball over deep backward square leg into the crowd for 6 more for Alex Davis. Little punch of the gloves between him and Keaton Jennings. Certainly Davis has got the Lancashire Lightning reply up and running. He moves on to 27, 45 for 1.
It's difficult because they're asked to sort of leave the ball alone and let a steward come and get it, but that was right up the back of the Smith Cooper stand and right in amongst the spectators, and it's thrown back. It's been wiped clean, sanitised. Next one's hit away again by Davis, and that'll be 6 more on the full, and Lancashire have their tails up here, back-to-back 6s. 51 for 1. This is a terrific little knock from Davis. Already moved on to 33, and he faced 12 deliveries. Alex Davis. Luke Fletcher's first over, an expensive one. Samit Patel's second over went for 21. This one's already gone for 18. 1 ball left. Fletcher into Davis, and it's left alone. Goes through to the keeper. 51 for 1 at the end of the 5th. Notts were 40 for 2 at the same stage. And Lancashire are 13 ahead at this stage on Duckworth Lewis as well. So expensive over for Luke Fletcher. Notts need a wicket. Matt Carter's going to bowl the 6th over. And then as we come out of the power play overs, you'd imagine Stephen Mullaney will try and dry up one end. Maybe with Samit Patel, maybe with Calvin Harrison. Here is Carter. Right arm round the wicket. Keaton Jennings will run it to backward square, fielded by Budinger. Single taken. 52 for 1 here on BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire. Dave Bracegirdle and Scott Reed bringing you what's become one of the great rivalries in T20 cricket. Carter bowls again, heaved away. That'll be 6 more by Davis. Just too short from Matt Carter. Davis stood his ground and helped it away on the leg side. Punishing innings this from Davis. Already you'd say the potential to be a match-winning partnership. 50 partnership brought up, and Davis has 39 of them. There's Carter in again, and this one's hit away, and again it's going to go for 6. No, he's caught! Oh, great catch! That's wonderful work! That really is. Joe Clark has taken an absolutely wonderful catch. He had to leave the field of play, looked down to where the rope was, and then came back inside to catch it, and he did catch it cleanly. And Davis has to go for 39. Clark bowled Carter, and what a tonic that will be for Notts. Wonderful work by Joe Clark. So both wickets to Carter, which should bring, and indeed does bring, Dane Vilas to the crease. My word, Notts needed that. Faced just 15 balls. Alex Davis. It was a brutal innings, 5 6s in his 39. Terrific player, really is. He was inches away from hitting his 6th maximum. So Joe Clark giving Notts a bit of a lift halfway through the 6th, 58 for 2. Lancashire require 116 more. Carter, figures of 2 for 11. Next ball sees Vilas come well down the track. First ball he's faced, pushes it back to the bowler. Carter in again, Vilas is away, nudging it out to deep mid-wicket to Ben Duckett. 59 for 2, 1 ball left in this over. Left-hander Jennings on strike. A little push into the gap on the offside. Takes a single. Keaton Jennings will keep strike. 9 from the over, but the wicket 60 for 2 at the end of the power play. Notts were 58 for 2 at the same juncture. They just had a big over, the 6th over, in which they scored 18. So not a lot in it. Scott's just done his update for listeners in the northwest, and comes back to join me as I think Calvin Harrison's going to get his first bowl. No problems with the catch, Scott. Joe Clark went over the rope, looked where it was, and then came back inside to catch it.
It's a belting catch. It was a really clever catch. Wonderful piece of fielding. You kind of get used to seeing that type of thing, don't you? That type of kind of improvisation and that just general awareness of what is around you and where you are and what is required to get the job done. It was a terrific piece of work by Joe Clark. Wonderful take. And Davis was looking in good touch.
Yeah, it was.
Good wicket for the Outlaws.
5 sixes and 39. There's Harrison.
Harrison then to Jennings on 16. Flattered his first delivery to Jennings. Just tickled away out towards square leg for 1. It takes him to 17, 61 for 2.
Went wicketless at Old Trafford, none for 26, Calvin Harrison.
Squad number 31 in his Notts gold shirt out of his trousers. Tall lad, isn't he? His brown curly hair, spinning the ball from one hand to the other, making sure his field's in the right position. Deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and deep point. In and bowling to Vilas, scooping the ball away through the onside just for a single. Stephen Mullaney comes up to field. Vilas moves up to 2. Lancashire Lightning to 62 for 2. Gets the tall left-hander Keaton Jennings back on strike. 112 more runs required for the Lightning to win the game. He works away off the pads through the onside where Ben Duckett fields. Jennings again just a single. Takes him to 18 and Lancashire to 63 for 2. 173 for 6. The Outlaws from 20 overs. A brilliant century from Alex Hales. 101 not out from the 173 that Notts made. Super effort from Hales. That's the target. This is swept by Vilas. Just behind square on the leg side. And Vilas gets a single, so he moves to 3. The score moves on to 64.
Just going to turn the effects microphone up just for a second, because there's just a buzz now, and that's what we've missed, isn't it? Crowd chattering away. They're engrossed in this one, aren't they?
Well, it is good to hear, isn't it? It really is a pleasant sound around the ground. There's he's chopped away on the reverse sweep from Keaton Jennings for 1. He moves to 19, 65 for 2. Yeah, it's lovely. Good crowd in. What do you reckon, about 4,000?
4, yeah.
All dotted around the ground. Trent Bridge looks a picture, as it always does. Harrison in, and Vilas shuffling back into his crease and driving up towards Hales, who comes up from the long on boundary. A nice calm over to begin with. At the end of it, 66 for 2 after 7.
Do an update for Radio Nottingham before we go any further. Very much game on here at Trent Bridge. Notts were put into bat. They scored 173 for 6 from their 20 overs, and certainly no doubt who was the star. Alex Hales again from the front, 101 not out. Terrific innings from the big tall opener. Hit 12 fours and 1 6. Reached his century in the latter stages. Finished 101 not out. Notts needed wickets. They got rid of the dangerous Finn Allen early on, but then a little bit of a fight back from Lancashire. 5 6 struck in quick succession from Alex Davis. He's now also fallen to Carter for 39. So Lancashire at the moment 66 for 2. The equation means they need 108 from 78 balls. 66 for 2. Here's Stephen Mullaney bowling to Dane Vilas. Force this into the offside, and that's gone for 4. Disappointing start to Stephen Mullaney's spell. Boundary struck from his first ball. Alex Hales out there, unable to prevent it going for 4. 70 for 2. There's Mullaney in again. Vilas will cut this to Carter, shy at the stumps. They're appealing. Looked to me as if he was in, and they're going to run an overthrow as well. And I tell you what, that was that was close at the other end. Absolute mayhem. 2 runs to Lancashire. Dane Vilas, a little push and run. Matt Carter shied at the stumps and hit. Notts were seemed to be very confident in their appeal. The umpire said not out. Sharp bit of practice from Lancashire. Realised there was a chance of an overthrow. They took it and just about got in before the throw came in at the other end. It was well, almost like something out of the Keystone Cops, but 72 for 2 is the end result. Next ball on the pads of Dane Vilas, and it's gone quickly. I think there'll only be a single. 101 required now from 75 balls.
I think Keaton was quite grateful for his long legs to make up the ground, because that was pretty tight, wasn't it? The run-out chance.
There's Mullaney. Mayhem from his first 3 deliveries, gone for 7 runs.
Gale
generally comes in and drops on a length. Difficult to get away, but another single there. Jennings pushing it down the ground for 1. Jennings run out for 88, last ball of the match at Old Trafford last Sunday. Stephen Mullaney it was who was able to scoop the ball up. Needed a couple of attempts. It was like a bar of soap, but got it into Tom Moores, and the run out was executed. Here's Mullaney in again to Dane Vilas. Got him, LBW. Vilas walked in front of his stumps. Impossible from our view here to tell if there was any bat involved, but clearly there wasn't, because umpire Bainton has sent Dane Vilas on his way, and the Mullaney over, which started disappointingly, has just turned in Nottinghamshire's favour. They've got Dane Vilas, and that's an important one. 74 for 3.
It is. And how many times you see it in T20 cricket that an over, one half of it can be won by the batter and the bowler comes back, or vice versa, and you see it so often. It's a good way to end the over from Mullaney's point of view. And for the Notts Outlaws, the Lancashire skipper didn't like it. We thought he hit it, certainly come a long way down, but the main man, Neil Bainton, felt that was going on to crash into the stumps, and he has to go for 11. And Lancashire Lightning, with Rob Jones coming out to join Keaton Jennings with 1 ball left of the over, need to find someone to do the Alex Hales, or at least one of them, or 2 of them to share it.
Nice picture of Rob Jones up on the large screens here. Looked like a little bit of a Cockney spiver, an East End wide boy there. A bit of a gangster look about him. Sure, he's a very nice fella. Coming at number 5 ahead of Stephen Croft. Here's Mullaney in to bowl to Rob Jones. Pushes it back to the Notts captain. 74 for 3 after 8 overs. At the same stage, Notts was 66 for 3. Duckworth Lewis also has Lancashire just ahead. I think we talked earlier about Luke Wood in the county championship match. In fact, it was the Bob Willis Trophy, wasn't it? They didn't have the county championship match. The Bob Willis Trophy match here last year, and Luke Wood went off. I have a funny feeling Rob Jones was on for most of the game as the sub fielder, and actually took a couple of catches in that game. But perhaps that's the memory playing tricks. 74 for 3.
You could be right. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it feels like about 9 years ago.
It does, doesn't it?
The Bob Willis Trophy,
Yep.
but could be right. Harrison then, second over for him. Jennings comes down the pitch towards him, works it across his pads to backward square leg for 1. 21 to Keaton Jennings, 75 for 3. He'll be hoping for a bit of a go with the bat here. Rob Jones, he's lost his place in the county championship side. I think he perhaps a little harshly done both to lose his place in that team, and he's not played the first few games in the T20 Blast. Got back into the team, didn't bat in his first match, which was against Notts. His second game he was run out for naught last night. So he'll be hoping to try and contribute here this afternoon. He's on strike. He's got Harrison bowling to him. And Lancashire Lightning are 75 for 3 in the 9th, 174 the target. Look to try and reverse it straight away. Rob Jones on that reverse sweep, but makes no contact. The ball hits his pad, pops out into the onside. Tom Moores comes from behind the stumps to field, and there's no run. Walk around the crease. Rob Jones, little look out towards that leg side. 3 fielders there. Backward square, deep mid wicket, long on. Again, looking to sweep. I think he's disappeared down towards short, fine leg. I'm not sure off what. Maybe a bit of bat, maybe a bit of pad. It is a little bit of bat, little thin bottom edge. So Jones is off the mark. 76 for 3.
Josh Bohannon injured or
No,
not in contention at the moment?
Yeah, just not in the squad at the minute. Bohannon. One or two players who've got some runs for the seconds who are pushing for a place in the T20 side. It's played back down the pitch. Wonderful take from Harrison. Off a leading edge from Keaton Jennings. Wonderful dive, leaping to his right to take the catch off his own bowling. And Keaton Jennings departs, and Lancashire Lightning lose their 4th wicket with the score at 76 on the board. Jennings for 21, caught and bowled by Harrison, 76 for 4.
I know it's to be expected with a youngster, but he is getting better and better every game. He's learning his craft, learning his skills, and he does have an awful lot that I like. He's a good fielder, he's got a good attitude, but he's not afraid to throw it up there. He's not afraid to go through his variations against some of the best batsmen in the game, and he's got a good scout there now on his CV. Keaton Jennings, very fine player, caught and bowled. And that's a really important one and a really important time for Notts to get it. 76 for 4.
Could not agree anymore. Significant wicket. Keaton Jennings out for 21. So 21 to Jennings, 2 to Allen, 39. A pretty powerful 39 off I think just 15 balls for Alex Davis and 11 for the captain Dame Villas. Crofton Jones now. 98 off 68 is the equation, with 6 wickets remaining, and Harrison with his first scalp in and bowling, and almost a second perhaps here as Croft looks to try and sweep the ball. It's been signalled as a wide, but for a second I thought that Croft had gone across his stumps and maybe the ball had clattered into his leg stump. Wide signal from the umpire. 77 for 4. He'll bowl it again. He's got 2 balls left of his second. 1 for 9 his figures so far. Bounces in and bowls. Forward goes Croft. Pushing the ball away into the onside. Tom Moores springing like a little lamb from behind the stumps to get to it. Blimey, he was quick across the ground there. Moores bouncing his way out towards mid-wicket, denying even the possibility, even the thought of a run. Final ball of the 9th coming up. It's another good over for the Notts Outlaws. Harrison to Croft. Sweeps emphatically. It's a furious looking shot for 4. Off the mark with that, Stephen Croft. Dragged it from probably just outside or just on off stump. And the ball rattles its way towards a square leg boundary for 4 to end the over. But it's a good one nonetheless for the Notts Outlaws. 81 for 4. Croft on 4, Jones on 1.
It's just like a boxer, that over, being hit back and back and back and back, right onto the ropes, and then right at the end of the round, just before the bell goes, he lands one straight back onto the nose of his opponent. That was very much a case of take that from Stephen Croft, who's now 4 not out from 2 balls, 81 for 4, and he's already shown what a dangerous player he can be just from that one shot. Here's Mullaney into Rob Jones. Nudges this to mid-wicket. Samit Patel tight in there on the one, does the fielding.
Just a word elsewhere in the cricketing world for the Northwest Thunder, who are playing in the T20 competition today.
There's Mullaney in bowls, reverse sweep, but there's a man out there, and it is Harrison does the fielding. 82 for 4.
So the Thunder are playing the Northern Diamonds, and they've won. They won by 12 runs, 118 for 6 from 20 overs, the Thunder, and the Northern Diamonds 106 for 9 in reply.
Sounds like a good game.
4 wickets for Emma Lamb, who's Danny Lamb's sister. So the one half of the Lamb family have got wickets today. Emma Lamb 4 for 13.
Mullaney bowling, cries of catch it, but it went through the non-existent slip cordon. Nothing that Matt Carter could do up inside the circle at short third. And it races away for 4 runs. There's a Lamb that plays for Warwickshire, isn't there? He's Matt Lamb, and apparently he's a big Wolverhampton Wanderers supporter. And somewhere in, I got the gag about a wolf in sheep's clothing when he was batting, which went down, as you'd imagine. Next one's clipped down the ground by Croft. He'll get a single. Buttinger will field. 87 for 4. Croft has 9. Jones has 2. The men out. Allen for 2. Jennings 21. Davis a quick fire 39. And Dane Vilas for 11. Stephen Mullaney, the Notts captain, from the pavilion end, bowling to Rob Jones. A push and run, almost like doing their shuttles there. They both set off as if they'd got to get back before the beat would go, but the ball was already on its way in from Duckett. End of the 10th, 88 for 4. The same stage, Notts were 84 for 3, so precious little in it either way.
Yeah, pretty tight, isn't it? The fact that Jennings, Allen, Davis and Vilas have all gone is significant for the Notts Outlaws. There is a bit to come. Daniel Lamb can bat, Luke Wood can bat, as Notts fans will know, but a lot resting on these two.
Yeah. And Croft, I've not seen that much of Jones, but Croft is the one that could repeatedly clear the ropes, given the mood.
As Patel comes back into the attack, just to turn them bounce a little bit. Balloons off perhaps the shoulder of Rob Jones's bat, down to short third. Gets 1, moves to 4. 89 for 4. Patel this into his 3rd over. Croft came down the pitch, and the ball's disappeared down towards fine 3rd man. He's come back for a second, but it's off a little edge beyond the keeper. He was either going to be caught or stumped. In the end, neither happened. He gets 2.
Or bowled.
Or bowled, yeah. Comes back for a second in the end. He moves to 11, 91 for 4. Patel in, and Croft looking to try and sweep it. Big yahoo, a big miss. Taken by Moores, who clips off the bails. Asks the square leg umpire, is that out? And Neil Baton says, no, not out.
There's things happening.
Yeah, Patel's causing problems, isn't he?
Well, it's a combination of him putting it there in areas that Stephen Croft thinks he should be hitting out the ground.
Patel to Croft, has tried to clobber it away. Bounces up towards mid-on. Hales comes up from the boundary to field. Croft gets a single. Moves to 12, 92 for 4. It's been a curious over so far. Runs have come off it, but not without risk. Jones looks to sweep, and does so successfully to Calvin Harrison at deep back with square leg for 1 run. Jones moves to 5, 93 for 4. Just a fraction ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis Stern par score. Croft meets this one beautifully for a lovely sweep through the onside. 4 runs, swatted away, down on one knee, out towards deep mid-wicket. And a very kind of quizzical over comes to an end.
Yep.
There's a lot happened in that. It's ended quite well for Lancashire Lightning because they've got a 4 for it. Slogged away through mid-wicket. And at the end of the over, it's 97 for 4 after 11.
Yeah, they're 9 runs ahead of where Notts were at the corresponding stage. Notts had a pretty decent last 7 or 8 overs. Lancashire will, I think, need to push along at 7 or 8 and over for a while just to keep their noses in front. Here's Matt Carter, going to bowl his 3rd over, 2 wickets and a stumping given. Needed 2 attempts. Rob Jones has gone. He almost fell out of his ground and then nearly got back as Tom Moores couldn't take it initially. And then at the second time of asking, grabbed it, whipped off a bail, and Rob Jones goes, and Matt Carter's got his 3rd. 97 for 5 now at the start of the 12th over. Board is saying Rob Jones LBW to Carter. The square leg umpire certainly raised his finger for the stumping. Scoreboard says out LBW, but I think that one will be revised. Here's Danny Lamb, just talking about him on his way out to the middle. And with the departure of Rob Jones, that means the top 5 on the card have all gone. Looks as if Durham are about to win at Edgbaston. They posted 164 for 8. Birmingham Bears 128 for 9 in the 18th over. Last pair need 38 from 2 overs. 97 for 5. Still says LBW. I'm not so sure on that. Here's Carter bowling to the new man, Danny Lamb. Lots have just taken a little bit of a grip out there on the field, you sense. Duckworth Lewis disagrees. But it doesn't. It's just got Lancashire just 2 runs behind at the moment. We'll just revise that. Just 2 runs behind where they should be. Next one's cut away. So Budinger will hang on to the ball. 99 for 5. This is good from Carter. Wickets going down in the 2nd, 6th, 8th, 9th and now 12th overs. Carter round the wicket, bowls, pushed into the offside by Lamb for a single. That brings up the 100. Carter once more, final ball of the 12th. Croft will keep strike, helping it into the deep. Just 4 from that over and the wicket. 101 for 5. May well have been, of course, that the umpires got on the old walkie-talkie and that Neil Bainton had given the LBW, but eventually it came through to Tom Moores and whipped off the bail, and the square leg umpire Billy Taylor raised the finger, so certainly saw him confirm that Rob Jones was dismissed. Calvin Harrison back into the attack. Durham have defeated Birmingham by 34 runs at Edgbaston. Harrison to bowl to Croft, who's on 18, comes down the track, drops it on the leg side. He'll want 2 here and he'll probably get 2. No, he won't. In comes the throw and a run out by yards. Run out by yards is Lamb. Croft always wanted 2. Don't think Danny Lamb did, but Croft continued running, so Lamb had to go and was run out by quite some distance. That was horrible from Lancashire. Stephen Croft desperate to get back on strike. Danny Lamb really needed to be more assertive, really needed to bellow, "No, get back," or words to that effect. He didn't want to run but had to, and it's 101 for 6.
Yes, it's all going a little bit belly up, isn't it, for Lancashire Lightning, but a good day so far for the Notts Outlaws. They'll do well from this position because they're running rapidly out of batsmen. The equation's not beyond T20 size, needing kind of 70 from 50 balls, but It's the fact that Lancashire Lightning are 6 down. Luke Wood joining Stephen Croft, and a long walk back towards the dressing room for Danny Lamb. That was an ugly looking run out, really.
Board says run out Peter Trigo. This one's helped away on the leg side. Budinger will do the fielding. I thought it was Budinger, I'm not entirely sure.
I thought he was playing golf.
Oh yeah, well his golf is tomorrow. But
okay.
But I've certainly not noticed him on the field. I thought it was Sol Budinger who did the fielding. And the same with the one before, Scott. The board had him out LBW. Well, I was watching square leg Billy Taylor, and he definitely gave him out stumped. I don't know if Bainton did give him out LBW. So it'll all come out in the wash. 103 for 6. Here's Harrison bowling to Luke Wood, the lefty. Former Notts player, of course, is away. Yes, it has just unravelled a little bit for Lancashire over the last 3 or 4 overs. Still got Stephen Croft there.
Peter Trigo, he's got to be on the range, hasn't he? Getting his eye in.
Yeah. Next one's hit. Brilliant bit of fielding by Harrison. It really was leapt high to prevent Croft getting runs. The crowd thought it was another catch from the youngster. 104 for 6.
The BBC Sport website has the run out being, in brackets, unidentified.
Sol Budinger is my money. This is up in the air. Sammit's dropped it. Crikey. Where's my notebook? I'll just make a note of that. Ballooned up off the outside edge of Stephen Croft's bat. Samit Patel rushing in from backward point has spilled it. And Croft gets a life, moves on to 21. That's a bit of a rarity. I was pretty sure it was Sol Budinger doing the fielding, but anyway, next ball on its way now. Good delivery through into the gloves of Moores. End of the over, 105 for 6. Yeah, Scott just pointed me to the Notts Twitter feed, which says Sol Budinger. That may be because they're listening to me, though, Scott, but right, it might not. I've not seen Trigo on the field, but Budinger has been on that side of the field, and he was certainly there afterwards as well. It's going to be Stephen Mullaney, 105 for 6.
Well, he's just digging into his bag to get his five wedge out, isn't he?
You'd imagine. 105 for 6. Here's Mullaney. Here's Scott Reed.
Get his putter going. Here's Mullaney to Croft. Ooh, Croft goes to ramp it over the keeper's head and run down towards the boundary. Oh, he's got 4 for it. That's a bit cheeky from Stephen Croft. Facing his mate, Mullaney, who turns around in utter disgust that Stephen Croft has got the cheek to do that to him. But a little scoop over the shoulder for 4 runs. 109 for 6. Croft to 25. All depends really on Croft now for Lancashire Lightning.
So Durham have defeated Birmingham, move on to 11 points from 9 games. Birmingham Bears drop to, obviously 9 points from 9 games themselves.
Croft slaps the ball back down the pitch underneath the fingertips of Mullaney and gets a run for it. 26 not out, 110 for 6, 64 required, 40 balls left.
Birmingham Bears won 4 and lost 4, had 1 rained off. The way they played here right at the start of the competition, when they racked up 230 odd, Brathwaite hitting 6s to all parts. Thought this is going to be a difficult side to beat.
Clipped away by Luke Wood, just in front of square on the leg side. It will be cut off on that boundary. Wood comes back for a second.
Yes, that's the well-known Peter Trigo impersonator, Sol Budinger, doing the fielding.
3 to Luke Wood, 112 for 6. 62 needed, 39 balls left. Stephen Mullaney to Luke Wood, drives through mid-off for a single. Moves to 4 not out, 113 for 6.
Good, thanks to Kamal. He said, looking at the Jones wicket, he said he's had a look back. Both umpires were stood with their fingers raised. Bainton had obviously given him out LBW, and Billy Taylor had given him out stumped as well. So thanks for that, Kamal.
So he was emphatically out. They've both got their fingers up. You see a little clip away from Croft into the onside for a single.
It's not one you'd review if such a thing were possible.
Moves to 27, 114 for 6. 1 ball left of Stephen Mullaney's 3rd over.
Still ahead of where Notts were at the corresponding stage. 60 from 37.
Problem is that Notts had Alex Hales.
Lancashire have got Luke Wood.
Indeed. Mulaney to Wood. And that's carved away over the top of backward point down towards the boundary. Here comes back for a second. That's the end of Mulaney's over, I think. It is. So Wood's on 6. 116 for 6. 58 from 36 balls with 4 wickets remaining.
Yep, 6 overs left. A lot can happen in 6 overs. Notts from here on in took more than 10 runs and over. They were 95 for 4 after 13, then 10, 13, 11, 11, 10, 16. The final over only went for 7, but it was those 6 overs from 14 to 19 that really got them up there. Here's Luke Fletcher to bowl the 15th over, his first one. He was given a bit of tap by Alex Davis. He'll be pleased he's no longer around to inflict any more damage.
Yeah, Croft 27 from 18 rather. Because you're going to get somewhere near. Croft is going to be there towards the end of it. 36 balls left, 58.
Spilled on, I think it was 20 or 21. Stephen Croft by Samit Patel. 116 for 6. Croft has 27. Fletcher bowls to him. Oh, he's again gone looking for the scoop, and somehow he's got a run to towards the square leg umpire, but he was trying to scoop it. Got himself into a right old pickle. Gets the run. Yes, the BBC Sport website. Lamb run out undefined. It says it there. Says it on the board here. Run out sub Trigo. My money's on young Salt. 117 for 6. Left-hander on strike. Wood. The offside is 4 inside the ring and 1 patrolling the boundary, and Fletcher digs it in short, and a swish and a miss from Luke Wood.
He's trying to kind of uppercut it, wasn't he, down towards the third-man boundary.
An effective shot, isn't it, in this format? The old up and over.
It is, yeah, with the third man in the ring, and it's quite a short boundary, isn't it, down there? Decent enough idea from Wood, but couldn't get bat on ball.
A lot of players play it in this form. Brendan Taylor used to play it in the county championship all the time. Anything short, he'd just try and lift it deliberately over the slip cordon, especially if there wasn't a third man there.
It's outrageous in a championship match.
Yeah, he saw it as a pretty much a risk-free shot. There's Fletcher in again, driven down the ground. Presume Joe Clark will be underneath as he is, and they get a single. And in a sense, if there's nobody down at third man, and you are just able to deliberately lift it over the slip cordon, it is a safe shot.
It is. You don't often get a third man, do you, in the championship? I mean, 4-day cricket neither. It's more kind of gone out of fashion a little bit.
118 for 6. I always used to say, Brendan Taylor, there's no spinners in England that turn a ball. They used to go after the spinners as soon as they came on, and would also be very quickly into the reverse sweep. No spinners in England that can spin a ball, David, say. Not entirely sure about that, but it's a great feeling to have as a batsman when you go out there. Luke Fletcher's, I think, he's used one of the discs there, 30-yard discs, as his bowling mark, hasn't he? I don't know. Here's Fletcher into Croft, driven away into the offside. There'll only be a single. Harrison doing the fielding. Now, you'd say it's pretty much even Stevens at the moment. Lancashire require 55 from 32 balls, but they've got one of their most consistent performers in this format out there in the middle in Stephen Croft. He's 29 not out from 20. Whisper it quietly, but he was dropped by Samit Patel on 20. It was low down, should have taken it. Had that been held, then I'd have fancied Notts' chances even more. Notts 173 when they batted. Alex Hales an unbeaten century. Terrific knot from the opener. 100 101 he made. Really good innings from Hales. Lancashire, they've been there or thereabouts, up with the rate throughout. Another boundary there means they require 51 from 5 overs to win this. 123 for 6.
Needed that boundary too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Good one from Wood, forcing it away through mid-wicket for 4.
Here's Fletcher, final ball of the over, again pulled away onto the leg side, doesn't reach Harrison. Single taken. 124 for 6 at the end of the over, 8 from it.
He judged that well, Harrison, because he came racing in as if to say, I could perhaps take the catch, and then realised he would be in danger maybe of the ball bouncing and spinning past him. So he just held back, allowed it to bounce in front of him. Good piece of fielding. Happy to concede the one when it could have been a lot worse, and he misjudged it. So good work from Harrison. Still hanging in there, Lancashire Lightning. Wood 12, Croft 29. Back with Matt Carter to bowl his 4th over. Had a good day. Carter, 3 overs, 3 for 17 in a T20 blast fixture. Is a terrific effort from Carter. Wood's on strike for it on a bright, sunny Saturday afternoon here at Trent Bridge on the BBC Sport website and app, via the live stream of Nottinghamshire and Lancashire's websites. That's where you'll find the glorious looking Trent Bridge. Sun beating down, the maximum number that Notts can get in terms of a crowd, 4,000 or so. A good atmosphere, made for a good, entertaining game of T20 cricket. How far will it go? How deep is it going to go for Lancashire Lightning? Luke Wood, former Notts man, of course. Could that be a story come the end of the game? Jake Ball, actually, will be, not Carter. So again, a last minute change of heart from Stephen Mullaney. Was going to go for Carter. Instead, he goes for Ball, who's in and bowling to Wood. That's chipped away out towards deep back with square leg. Fletcher as well to get across the ground to complete the fielding. Wood gets a single. Takes him to 13. It's 125 for 6 to bring Stephen Croft back on strike. On a warm day, Tom Moores removes his cap, mops his brow to reveal a very snazzy looking kind of bleachy blonde, almost silver hairdo from young Tom. That's a smart look.
He's like yourself, he's up to date with the fashions.
I pride myself on it. Yeah. There's Ball into Croft, clubbed up towards long on. Little bounce just in front. Croft gets a single. 30 to him now. 126 for 6. 48 required. 28 balls remaining. Luke Wood on strike. Field scatters. Deep mid-wicket. Deep backward square leg. Fine leg. Wide long on. Deep point. His ball steaming in. Bowling to Wood. Swats it through the onside. Might be caught. No, bounces just in front of the man coming in from the deep mid-wicket boundary. I think that's Calvin Harrison.
It is. Great effort, wasn't it? Really was. Committed himself totally.
He did. Almost got to it. Did well actually to make sure he stopped it.
Yep.
He didn't disappear past him for a boundary. 14 now, Luke Wood. 47 needed. 27 balls left. There's Jake Ball, his arms pumping back and forth, in and bowling. Slow ball, just back of a length and pulled. Pulled superbly. Great shot by Stephen Croft in front of square. He kind of sat in the crease and waited for it. Helped it out towards that square leg boundary. For 4 more runs for Croft. He moves to 34, 131 for 6.
Yes, you can't hear the crowd's indifference at a Lancashire boundary because of the music being pumped out of the speakers all around the ground.
Yes, almost deathly silence.
There would have been.
Full of length, this next ball from Jake Ball. Good comeback, fizzed it in, trying to hit that one for 4, and he couldn't. Just bring his bat down, squirts it into the onside, takes a run for it. Takes him to 35, 132 for 6.
And Duckworth Lewis says at this exact stage, Lancashire should be on 132. So, tie anybody?
Oh, not again. You wait an age for a tie and you get 4 in 11 games. If you're a Notts fan.
You do.
Imagine the amount of rewriting having to be done from our colleagues in the written press for a tie. It's a disaster. Ball in the sunshine, balls. And Wood off the back foot. Slaps it out towards mid-on. Gets through for a single. Takes him to 15. 133 for 6. And that is the end of the over. 133 for 6. Target of 174 to win.
So 6 wickets down, 7 and 8 out there. Matt Parkinson, Tom Hartley, Saqib Mahmood. Won't necessarily come in that order, but they are the 3 that we haven't seen. Bit of a mothers' meeting going on down there. The captain just talking to Luke Fletcher and Tom Moores and Alex Hales, one of his trusted advisors. Samit Patel is given the ball. Never a bad option. We'll have the confidence that he's going to go there and break this partnership. He's having a natter to Stephen Croft, perhaps just reminding him that he's given him a life already. 2 of the senior statesmen with regards to the blast, Croft and Patel. Samit played in that first season back in 2003. Luke Wood comes down the track to Samit. I think Croft was a year or 2 later.
He was 2006.
134 for 6. Can Lancashire get that big over which will tilt it very firmly in their direction, or can Notts break this partnership? Wide of the off stump, pushed into the offside by Croft, will only get a single. 135 for 6. I think Notts would take 6 singles right now, and it started that way. 2 balls, 2 singles taken. Lancashire might for an over or 2. At some point they're going to have to find the rope. There's an LBW shout asking Billy Taylor. They'll take a leg by, I'm sure. Yep, leg by. Luke Wood on the sweep. Would have been heart in mouth time with Samit bellowing so confidently in the umpire's ear. 136 for 6. Good game of cricket. 38 required from 21. Full ball from Patel. Croft tried to give himself room. Pushes it out on the leg side. Harrison quickly in from the fence. 137 for 6. 4 balls in this over. 4 singles taken. Will we get the boundary now? Wood on strike. Patel bowls. It's driven down the ground. This is going to be a challenge for the fielders. They won't get there. Lovely shot from Luke Wood. 140. Has it gone on? I don't think it is. No, I think it has now. 141 for 6. Lovely straight drive.
That was a good shot, wasn't it? Yeah. Needed it too. He mentioned need to find that boundary, and he did. Wood hitting it down the ground.
Nobody's bowled out yet for Notts. This is Patel's final over though, so he will have finished. Matt Carter's had 3. Calvin Harrison 3. Stephen Mullaney 3. And the 2 quicks, Jake Ball and Luke Fletcher, 2 apiece. There's only 3 overs remaining, so Mullaney can do it whichever way he wants. Patel bowls outside the off stump, and Wood will take a single now, so 5 singles, but that 4 from the 5th ball brings 9 from the over. 142 for 6 after 17.
32 from 18. The Lancashire Lightning will have, I'm sure, the idea of trying to take it as deep as you can. Make sure you don't lose many wickets in the power play. You can't win it in the first 6, but you can lose it in the first 6. And they're in a situation where they can take it deep now. 142 for 6, 32 up required, 18 balls left. 2 batsmen nicely set, both hitting it quite well. Could be set for another good game, another good finish.
Lancashire favourites at this juncture. They're ahead in runs of where Notts were. They're where they need to be in terms of Duckworth Lewis.
Yeah, pretty much spot on, aren't they?
And they've got 2 batsmen, as you say, nicely set, a partnership of 40.
Fletcher coming back into the attack. He's got 2 overs up his sleeve. Luke Fletcher did the damage, didn't he, last night? Right at the death.
Yep. Trying to pitch it up though. Both Croft and Wood will be looking for anything just fractionally short. They'll be looking to lever it into the crowd, and especially if they can get a boundary in the early part of the over.
Here comes Fletcher in and balls to Wood, going for a boundary through the onside and getting it first ball of the over. Tremendous effort from Calvin Harrison to try and get across there and cut that ball off, diving to his right. But it was slashed away by Wood for 4 through the onside. 146?
Yes, I think so.
146 for 6. Wood on 25.
Just what I was referring to, a boundary at the start of the over. Takes a lot of pressure off the batting side.
28 from 17. Fletcher bowls. Wood this time drives. The ball will bounce and bobble its way out towards a point boundary just for 1 run. 26 to Luke Wood, 147 for 6. 27 off 16 required for Lancashire Lightning.
And this is Luke Wood's highest T20 score. Not had that many opportunities. Showing what he can do. Of course, a dual winner with both Notts and Worcestershire. Been to finals day with Lancashire.
Fletcher to Croft. Well, in the end, it's a player miss and through to the keeper, but I think Croft leaning back, just trying to steer it off the face of the bat, up and over short third man. Didn't make contact, so a dot ball for Fletcher and for the Notts Outlaws.
Slower bouncer, wasn't it? Didn't reach Tom Moores.
27 from 15. Yeah, home support absolutely engrossed in the game. Everyone's involved. Everyone knows the way the game is balanced, and the home fans are waiting for an outcome that's there in their favour. This is clubbed down the ground towards long on. They think of a second, a wee bit of hesitation. They come back for the second. And it's well run by Croft and by Wood. 39 to Stephen Croft, 149 for 6 now.
Even the best fielder in the world has got a hard job to gather it cleanly, fire it in from 70 yards and prevent 2 committed batsmen from coming back for a second. It's very, very rare that you'll get a direct hit from that sort of distance.
If you make your mind up for 2, you're probably going to get it, aren't you? Fletcher to Croft. This time he doesn't quite time it as well as the previous one, so it just trickles up towards the straight mid-on region, and Croft tosses the bat up in the air and catches it. He's on 40 from 28. That's the 150 on the board for Lancashire Lightning. The equation is 24 required, 13 balls left. Wood started the over with a boundary, muscled away through mid-wicket. How will the over finish? Fletcher turns in the sunshine, little shuffle and comes bouncing in and bowls to Wood. He goes back and helps the ball out through the onside. Just for a single. End of the over. 23 off 12's the equation. Wood has 27, Croft has 40.
Tie! Lancashire still favourites. I would suggest Jake Ball's going to bowl the 19th over. Remember Calvin Harrison last night at Derby. Bowled the 20th. That was a little bit out of necessity. Everybody bar Luke Fletcher had bowled out, and Luke had bowled the 19th over, so Calvin had to bowl the final over. Doesn't necessarily have to turn his arm over again. Jake Ball to bowl the 19th, and I guess you've got to stick with your plans going into these matches. The plans are for Ball and Fletcher to bowl out. It used to be Harry Gurney's domain, of course, and although he's here on the ground, he won't be doing any more bowling for Notts. So the 2 that you've invested in, spend hours and hours and hours and hours bowling at those cushions, bowling for full-length deliveries with Kevin Shine, the bowling coach, Jake Ball and Luke Fletcher. You've now got to put all that practice into performance. 151 for 6, 23 from 12.
Yeah, going to Ball I think is a smart move, because Lancashire want this to be a big over.
Here is Jake Ball then, round the wicket, bowls to Luke Wood, single from the first one. 22 from 11. Round of applause, because the crowd know that Lancashire need more than one As soon as they get more than one, there's a 50 partnership. Will that get a ripple of applause? It will, and that's good to hear. 50 from 36 balls. Croft's contribution 21 from 16. Luke Wood has had more of the strike, 28 from 20, but the man known as Biscuit in these parts, I don't know if he carried that nickname with him to Old Trafford.
I've heard it, yeah.
Is 28 not out. Croft on 40, dropped on 20 by Patel. There's ball. Croft goes across his crease and has somehow got a single to Luke Fletcher at short, fine leg. Bottom under edge. 152 for 6. 2 balls, 2 singles, 22 required from 10. All changes with one big blow, doesn't it? One big blow.
Does, yeah. Of course, last week I think I should needed 12 off the final over, and it went to a tie, or finished in a tie.
Here's ball. Wicketless. Bowls. And Luke Wood has backed away, and now then they're going to pinch a single here, and now they're claiming the run out, and they're not getting the run out. That's really good from Lancashire's batsman. It went through to Tom Moores, who shied at the stumps, hit the stumps with Luke Wood, the batsman, having left his crease, trying to get something on the ball. Wood hit the stumps, and as the ball just rolled away a few inches, the batsman ran through for the bye. Luke Wood rushed up there, demolished the stumps and the ball and everything, but he got home for the bye.
I think Stephen Croft did himself a mischief, trying to make his ground. I think he's tweaked something as Stephen Croft.
Runner, anybody? Runner for...
Oh, carnage.
9 balls left, 154 for 6, 20 required. That could be the most costly bye ever run, but Croft instrumental in calling it. My word. The BBC Sport website cricket scorecard has now got Lamb run out, brackets Budinger for 2. 154 for 6. Stephen Croft just getting a little bit of attention from the Lancashire physio, having dived full length to make his ground. Everybody ended up in a bit of a heap at that end. Still 9 balls left. Looks as if Stephen Croft is going to be okay to carry on under his own steam. Now he'll be on strike. Very much has it in his power to win this for Lancashire. 41 from 29. Can Jake Ball keep him quiet? It's an aggressive stance from Croft. Bat raised. This one scooped up in the air. Samit Patel's underneath him. He's dropped him once. He's caught him this time. Samit Patel with the catch, and Stephen Croft goes. Jake Ball with the wicket. 154 for 7. Patel running back towards the pavilion from short third man. Grabs onto it. Didn't hold it for that long, actually. Was so relieved to catch it. Threw it up in the air in joy. And Croft has to go. Just 1 ball after a little bit of an injury. Caught Patel bowled ball for 41, made from 30 balls with 5 fours. Another twist in the contest. 154 for 7. Jake Ball with a wicket. Well battered Stephen Croft. New man will be Tom Hartley. Thrown into this cauldron. Obviously they did cross while the ball was in the air. 154 for 7. 20 now required from 8. Croft, like 1 or 2 before him, duplicitous in his own downfall, really. The dreaded scoop. Here's ball in to Wood. He'll pull this away. There'll be a single down there, I think. Patel's got the ball on its way in. Nicely done. 19 required from 7. 155 for 7. You're back.
I thought an update was required and it wasn't.
I think the last 2 wickets have fallen when you've been out of the room, Scott.
You want me to go back out again?
I'm just gonna
Good little knock from Stephen Croft. He's dragged the game deep for Lancashire, hasn't he? But that was a big wicket for Notts.
Final ball of this over. Jake Ball to bowl to Hartley. His first ball is pulled away down to fine leg. They've certainly got one. In comes the throw. Now then, can Tom Moores take it? He can't. So they're back for two. Patel doing well, getting the ball in the air. Tom Moores just couldn't gather it cleanly. Two taken. So we go into the final over. I think there's 17 required. We'll just check on that. We're seeing photos on the big screen again of the crowd, and you can just see how much they're enjoying their afternoon at the cricket. It's lovely to have them back. It really is. 17 required, Scott, I think is confirmed from 6 balls. Luke Wood 29 from 22. Tom Hartley, well, he's going at 200. He's 2 from 1 ball.
You're quite right, going at 200. 17 off 6. Well, that'll take some doing.
See if you can talk your boys home.
Let's see what Fletcher can serve up for the first few deliveries of it. In and bowling to Wood. Swatted away through the onside. Up towards wide long on, just for 1 run. Then 58 for 7.
As a low, wide, full toss bunted down the ground for 1 ever earned such a round of applause. 16 from 5. There'll be twists. You remember in that final over at Old Trafford that Luke Fletcher bowled. Seemed as if Notts were on top early in the over, and then Keaton Jennings hit the 5th ball away for 6 to really bring it back close.
Hartley on 2. Here's Fletcher in and bowls. It's drilled away through extra cover, but again just for a single.
Have you seen Tom Hartley at sixes?
I can't say I have. No.
I've seen Luke Wood at plenty.
Well, he needs a couple here.
Got hold of Steve McGoffin one day, his only century for Notts, just kept pummeling him into that stand away to our left, and there's not many people hit Steve McGoffin around. Remember him, former Sussex and Worcestershire seaman?
Yeah. Took a stack of wickets against Lancashire in a game a couple of years back. Well, a few years back now. Wide from Fletcher, drilled away through extra cover. Good stop. They'll come back for 2. They have to come back for 2. Throw comes in. It's, right in between the middle of the pitch, that isn't it, that throw? They've scrambled a couple, but 13 off 3. 161 for 7.
Hold your nerve, Luke Fletcher. How are you feeling, Luke Wood? Not that many Lukes in the game. Luke Wells, of course, at Lancashire. Luke Wright. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 more, but it's not often we have Luke bowling to Luke. But Fletcher to Wood from the pavilion end. Bowls, low full toss again. Hit out onto the leg side. Ben Duckett with field. Notts move closer. 12 runs required from 2. This will be a dramatic moment in Tom Hartley's career if he can connect with 2 here away on the leg side. Lancashire haven't won here since 2009. Notts are close, I fancy.
Have you got a 6 in you, Tom Hartley, to take it to the last ball? Where are you hitting this one for 6?
It was the 5th ball of the over at Old Trafford. Keaton Jennings, another left-hander of course, hit Luke Fletcher for 6. Crikey, there's a lot of deliberating going on. Alex Hales is throwing his 5 bobs worth in, and I think if anybody today deserves to just have a little say on the field settings for this end to the game, it's probably Alex Hales. 162 for 7. Hartley on strike. Fletcher to bowl to him. Hit away into the offside. That's a good looking shot. Really is a good looking cricket shot, but it's not gone for 6. In fact, it's not gone for 4. As it's restricted to 2. And it looks as if Notts are going to win this unless Fletcher oversteps or bowls are wide. 164 for 7.
Yeah, 10 from 1. Applause around the ground for Notts on the brink of a victory against Lancashire Lightning.
Samit Patel's 200th T20 blast game for Notts. Caught Stephen Croft. Might just have swung it Notts' way. Last ball is hit away. Doesn't matter, I think if it goes for 4, it might go for 4, it won't. Brilliant bit of fielding out there from Jake Ball, committed to the end. And Lancashire are going to be restricted to a score of 166 for 7. And Notts move 2 points clear at the top of the North Group. They have defeated Lancashire by 7 runs, the narrowest of margins again here at Trent Bridge. They don't do things by halves. If they're not tying games, they're certainly taking them right to the very death. Lancashire have given their all here and just come up short. Notts march on. 166 for 7, the Lancashire score. 3 wickets for Matt Carter, who, as one tweeter has just said, why on earth didn't he get his final over? 3 for 17 from 3 overs for Matt Carter.
And it's now a 4th defeat in 9 games for Lancashire Lightning. They'll do well from this position to qualify, but it's quite a tight group. You never know. It's still a possibility. And of course, 2 games next week, Thursday and Friday, including the Roses match next Friday.
Well, I think there's plenty in these parts that will be very much backing your boys in those 2 contests. Confirmation just up on the scoreboard that Notts have won by 7 runs. Have to do a final update for Radio Nottingham in just a second, Scott, but many thanks once again for sharing the commentary box, and wish you and Lancashire and the support as well for the run-in. Just wonder if we might end up in the same county championship group later on in September. Not beyond the realms of possibility, but until we work again, many thanks, and good to see you. Safe travels.
Cheers, pal. Thank you, and you.
166 for 7. So Notts have won this one by 7 runs just before 6 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. I'm sure Alex Hales and co certainly will. From Scott Reed, myself, Dave Bracegirdle, thanks for your company this afternoon. If you stick around, the followers on the live stream, there will be some interviews, I'm sure, with Aaron and the gang in the not too distant future. Thanks to the camera crew out there that have, well, they've not had the toughest of conditions today to work in, but it's been a long old day for them. Of course, they did the women's match before this one, so a long old day for them, and thanks to Kirsty and Aaron for pulling it all together. From us all again at Trent Bridge, a very good night.
Match and a crazy day, to be honest. Yeah, I should have told you we were live. I am now joined by, I can please to say, match winner, Alex Hales. I mean, we'll talk about your 101 in a second, but just your initial reaction to getting over the line there against a tough opponent. You know, Lancashire Lightning, they're always up there. We drew with them last time a few weeks ago. We're getting loud shouts from the crowd behind us. So just your initial reaction, mate.
Yeah, it was a top draw win, to be honest. As you said there, one of the strongest opposition in this group. They always have been. You know, since I've played professional cricket, they've always been a class team. So to get a win on, at home in front of a crowd, a very rowdy crowd, I thought it was a really good effort. I thought our bowlers closed out really well there when two guys were set at the death. So yeah, good all-round performance.
I think that's a really important thing, the all-round performance. But let's talk about your performance first of all. You don't see it very often, little wasp there. Yeah. Just wanted to join the interview, how rude. But you don't very often see, an opening batter still be there at the end in T20 because of how the game's played. But 101 not out, and what a way to get your 100 with a 6. You must be delighted, especially maybe after what happened at Derby just last night.
For sure, yeah. T20 hundreds don't come around very often.
So fifth, this one.
Yeah,
your fifth career one.
Yeah, and I must have played 300 games, I think. So it shows that they don't come around that often. So to do it, at a home crowd, again, as I said, against a tough opponent, is an unbelievable feeling. Especially after we lost a couple of wickets early, so wasn't I felt like I wasn't my usual self. I had to sort of rein it in a little bit, but once got a couple of partnerships together, managed to expand a little bit. So yeah, really happy.
I was going to say on that really, because obviously we're used to you being really explosive, quick out the blocks, but with what happened with losing wickets kind of throughout the innings really, did you feel that you had to sort of just steady the ship and make sure that we put a score on that was postable and achievable to win?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very good point.
Thank you.
Well done. I also think I don't think it was a particularly easy pitch to start your innings on. There was a little bit of very steep bounce. I felt like once you sort of batted 10 or 15 balls, you got used to that bounce, and the scoring opportunities came a bit later on in your innings. To get through that initial stage and then go really deep and really big in an important game for us is a great feeling.
Now, just go back to the all-round performance. We saw that at the end. You mentioned the bowlers there, but even moments sort of like Budinger fielding, you've got Kelvin Harrison coming into the side this year, really sort of like closing that middle section and being really tight. It's great to just see everybody contributing at different stages, isn't it?
100%, yeah. And as we go later into the group stages, you want that. You want everyone at some point to have put their hand up and won games, and I think that's what we've had. We've had Samit with the bat. We've had different batters at different times getting big runs, and different bowlers putting their hands up in different games. And I think that's exactly what you want in T20 cricket. And now we're building to the back end of the tournament. This is where you want to be playing your best, and I feel like we're still building towards that, which is an exciting place to be.
And just finally, sort of on the crowd, we saw, Rad Road down there. They were even asking you to play a golf shot. Now, you don't see that very often. I saw your golf shot. Not the best, I have to tell you.
I played about 50 of them when I was batting.
But how nice is it for you? Obviously, you're a Notts boy through and through. This club means so much to you. T20, crowds back. Not full crowds, but hopefully that's not too far away. That kind of banter, you must have missed it. You must love it.
Hugely, yeah. Last year was such a weird feeling playing in front of no fans, and it's something I've never been used to, like having played a lot of T20 cricket now, different countries, used to big crowds and all the atmosphere. And yeah, last year I really struggled without the crowd, so to see everyone back here, they made this place feel like a full house today. It was awesome. So long may that continue.
Indeed. And just finally, what can this do? A few days rest now until our next fixture against Leicester here at Trent Bridge. Is that nice, just to have a few days off, reset, kind of talk about where we are as a group and what we want to achieve in the final group games that are
definitely, at my age, days off are absolute bliss.
You and me both.
We've had a really hectic schedule actually. I think we've had like 11 games in 21 days or something like that. So not that I'm counting, but to have a few days off now just to reset, not think about cricket for a couple of days, and then come back, hopefully with a fullish tank. Ready to train Tuesday, Wednesday. I think it'd be good for us, especially the guys who have played a lot of 4-day cricket as well. I think there's some sore bodies up there who will enjoy a couple of days off, and be nice to reset and hopefully kick on in the back end of the tournament.
Indeed. Well, massive congratulations, mate. And my advice to you is use the next couple of days to work on that golf shot.
100%. I think it's much needed. It's getting worse.
Yeah, exactly. No, cheers, congratulations, mate. Thanks. Awesome. So that's it from everybody here at Trent Bridge Live. The Outlaws get over the victory line and they win by 7 runs. 2 points added to the bank of 11. Thank you very much for joining us here on Trent Bridge Live, and we will see you on Thursday for the visit of the Foxes.